Okay, it's going to take me a moment to go live with all the one other platform. So about 60 seconds. Let me straighten that monitor up. About 60 seconds. Bear with me. We'll be live momentarily. So give me a minute here. We're going to be talking about three subjects. And happy belated Memorial Day. Hopefully you guys ate well and things like that. Memorial Day really, just briefly, the holiday has passed, but briefly, it's probably inappropriate to wish someone a happy Memorial Day. It's almost like saying happy morning or happy funeral. So, I mean, Memorial Day is meant to honor the fallen, soldiers that fought for our freedom and things like that. So, happy Memorial Day is probably inappropriate, but hopefully you had a good holiday. I'll just leave it like that. We don't want to wish the holiday in an inappropriate way. Give me one second. We're gonna be talking about a few subjects. Give me one second um, to get my last platform going, and we'll be on momentarily. But I'm trying to think with two brains, and some would suggest I don't even have one. Um, just want to get this on here on this side over here because I'm trying to get my YouTube horizontal going. So I'm trying to let you guys know because on you folks that are watching me currently on YouTube Vertical, you are my first platform always. So you generally get about a minute or two of me before everybody else. And for those who watch it in the reruns, and some do, some watch the actual rebroadcast that are all saved on YouTube. They would know that as well. So give me a second here. Uh, just want to make sure I get everything up here. I think I got everything. And by the way, you see the live is titled George Floyd is No Hero. So you already know that's going to come up. You already know that is certainly going to come up. George Floyd just had an anniversary, and I want to talk to you folks about that as well. So I think we got everything going here. All right, we'll go ahead and hit it, and if it works, we should be on momentarily here. Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay, we'll go ahead and start it. I think even if that doesn't want to play with us right now. All right, we'll go ahead and start in three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Got a host of topics we're going to run by you as always. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful holiday and things of the sorts. Tighten this bracket here. And I want to talk to you about a couple of things that are in the news here. So I do want to make sure I get all of my equipment running here right. Kind of came on air a bit quick. So um, you see the live stream is titled George Floyd is No Hero. And there's a reason why that's there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to ask you folks one simple question. Considering all of the allegations that are often made against Trump, suggesting that he does a lot of things that are controversial and things of that nature, I want to ask you folks flat out, why is he still beating why is he still beating the Democrats in most polls? Or at the very least competitive. If Trump is that bad of a leader, if his actions are that atrocious, why does he continue being competitive with virtually any liberal you put him up against? Is it perhaps that the liberals are making accusations against Trump that are not true? I do want to run it by that aspect because Trump continues, no matter what the hell is going on, he continues to be competitive against virtually any liberal you put him up against. So there has to be something to that. Or is it that, as I have on my screen behind me, is it that the liberals suck just that much? So we're going to talk about that to start out with. But as always, we have multiple topics. The second two are a bit stronger. First of all, I want to ask you folks. Now, you've probably heard lately a lot in the news about President Trump. I do respect him. With the war and things like that that's going on. I want to ask the question flat out. Why is he doing such a poor job ending the war compared to his campaign promise? regardless of what you feel about Trump, good or bad, like him or love him, hate him or whatever, you gotta, I mean, you can't deny he promised to do significantly more to end the Ukraine-Russian war and even the one in Gaza. He promised to do a lot more than he's done. He's promised to do it quicker. There's 24-hour quotes and all of that. Why is he doing such a poor job when it comes to ending the war, considering he talked about how much he knew Putin and things like that? Not only that, but he spoke very favorable of him. I do want to, we always come with clips, and today, of course, is no exception. I do want you to, because, I mean, like I said, you're talking 24 hours. We obviously haven't seen that, won't see that, but this is Trump a few years.
Busy week and a half.
Do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. He's a leader.
Hang on, my damn equipment. Now, he's being asked if he respects Vladimir Putin. That's what you're hearing. I'm going to reset my damn equipment, but here we go.
Busy week and a half.
Do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. He's a leader of his country. I say it's better to get along with Russia than not. And if Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world,
right?
Major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with him? I have no idea.
He's a killer, though. Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent? You think our country's so innocent?
I don't know of any government leaders that are killers anymore.
Well, take a look at what we've done, too. We've made a lot of mistakes. I've been against the war in Iraq from the beginning.
Yeah, mistakes are different than...
A lot of mistakes, okay, but a lot of people were killed, so...
Now, he's obviously defending Putin to the point where he's willing to throw America under the bus. Now, this interview is obviously a bit old, but he is defending Putin. And based on what is going on now, I guess we have to ask the obvious question, which is, do you think those words, do you think that has aged well? Do you think what Trump is saying there has aged well? Because he was warned by many. And by the way, in regards to him being warned by many, Zelensky, someone that he spoke routinely negative of, even accused the Ukrainians of starting a war, Zelensky was kind of telling them when they were in the Oval Office a few weeks ago.
With him, me, like a new president, in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing
Now, J.D. Vance is giving him the riot act. J.D. Vance is laying into him, but now that we're a few weeks out, does it not appear as if what Zelensky was saying was true and what J.D. Vance was defending was wrong? He's pointing out that Russia is not known for acknowledging ceasefires. I mean, that's what Zelensky is pointing out, that in the past, there were ceasefires and Zelensky and Putin did not honor them. And that's kind of what we're dealing with now, because you hear Trump suggesting that he doesn't know what the hell is going on with Putin. And once again, he's stating that, he once again claiming that he's known Putin, but he doesn't know what the hell's going on with him. So the question is it possible that when Trump was making campaign promises of how he knew Putin and how he could end the war in 24 hours, he simply didn't know what he was talking about? I don't want to go to the point of saying, was Trump telling a lie? But Trump made it sound like he knew Putin and he knew how to end the war and could do it rather quickly. And here you got Zelensky on recording, making it clear to Trump that and JD Vance alike that this guy doesn't honor his own damn words. He doesn't honor his words. So why didn't Trump know that? Why is Trump all over the place saying that, he respects Putin? You've seen him tell Bill O'Reilly that and all of this stuff. And now he and Putin are going back and forth because Putin actually just referred to him as having some sort of emotional damage. And Trump is now pushing back by saying that he don't know what the hell is going wrong with Putin. So this has not aged well. Last but not least, now this is another topic totally off of that. We're going to talk about those two things as well. Why is Trump doing such a poor job ending the war in Ukraine, despite his promises? But this is another topic that is a little bit in a different direction. George Floyd. We've all heard the name George Floyd. We all know what happened, regardless of how you interpret it. We know the guy died while in contact with Derek Chauvin, former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin. Now, some believe that he passed away of a drug overdose, or he passed away of the virus, the COVID virus, or some believe he died of a heart attack. There's a whole host of reasons other than Derek Chauvin taking his life. But fact is that is undeniable because it's on video, is Derek Chauvin was the last one to make contact with him when he perished. That is undeniable. In fact, Derek Chauvin took a live George Floyd, put him on the ground, and handed back a dead George Floyd. So you can suggest that he may have died of something else, but he came into Derek Chauvin's custody alive and left dead. So what I want to talk to you folks about is this. Because now that he's had an anniversary of his death pass and things like that, people are saying there's no way in hell this guy should have ever received a memorial or some type of mural. You see the mural there on the screen behind me. Why the hell would you give this guy any sort of tribute at all? He has a host of violent felonies on his rap sheet, up to and including, I believe he was charged with pulling out a firearm on a pregnant woman. So why the hell would you give tributes or any type of memorial to this guy? He's not a hero. That's what the whole live is titled. George Floyd is not a hero. My humble opinion, and I want to get this from you folks, there's no denying that George Floyd is not a hero. When you look at his criminal history, there's no denying this guy was a felon several times over, had some bad deeds in his past, up to and including the alleged passing of fake currency when he was arrested and lost his life with Derek Chauvin. So clearly he's not a hero. But what I want to ask you folks is this, because I don't get this, and maybe you can clear it up. Did a video on this. In America, most of the folks we idolize and have tributes and memorials to have a dark past. They're not necessarily good guys. In my video, I asked the question, do you think that Christopher Columbus was bringing cookies when he came to this country? His only claim to fame is probably one of the largest thefts of land in world history. We talk about the Confederates, the statues they're taking down, they're stopping memorials and tributes to Confederate soldiers. Do you think their history contains anything violent? If we're going to talk about George Floyd and all the things he's done, do you think the Confederates have a clean history? Perhaps they were pursuing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for everybody that was in their wake. Maybe they didn't do anything at all. That's what some folks might think. Also, keep in mind, even the founding fathers themselves can be part of this conversation, whereas they have past acts that are atrocious. Even our founding fathers have done things to others that probably would make what George Floyd has been accused of and convicted of seem meaningless. So I'm going to ask a simple question. Why is George Floyd being singled out as someone with a dark past, therefore he should be disqualified from receiving any tributes or memorials, when giving tributes and memorials to people with dark pasts is kind of the American way? What makes George Floyd different? Why? And I'm not here to suggest that George Floyd is a hero in any damn way, fashion, or form. I'm going to admit he is not a hero. In my humble opinion, I don't see anything heroic about George Floyd at all. But I'm asking that question, considering all the other individuals that we do give tributes and memorials to, that has done lots of people in some of the most diabolical ways you can imagine. Why is George Floyd being singled out as someone that his past should disqualify him? When so many folks have tributes and memorials and their past is far, far worse than anything George Floyd ever dreamed of. I do want somebody to come on here and explain that to me, because I am going to admit I'm pleading ignorance. I don't get it. I don't get why he is being viewed differently than all of the other heroes we have in our past. So I'll leave that up to you folks to come through and clear that up. So we'll start taking calls. You know how the program is ran. We are MAGA friendly. We've always been that way. We always will. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand you can be critical of anyone on this program, up to and including the host. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everyone gets to speak. So looking straight in the comments, please cite some examples. Random pipe layer. Now that could be a hell of a name depending on what you really do. Random pipe layer. What examples are you seeking? I love the name. That name is awesome. What name? You're asking me to cite some examples. Cite some examples of Floyd or who? Just go ahead and elaborate on that. Anyway, looking at, we're going to go straight to the box. We'll start out with Miss Mo Better. Good evening, Miss Mo Better. And I guess, hey, so why do you think George Floyd, considering, like I stated before, all of our founding fathers, a lot of them folks have atrocities in their past as well. Why is it that George Floyd, with his past, means he should be disqualified from any murals or memorials, yet all of these other folks we idolize have a hell of a past?
Because they feel that the white man is exempt, is exempt from doing harm, is exempt from being vile, is exempt from all of that stuff. The black man is the boogeyman, according to them, to those that love those statues of those people that has great people, has lynched people, has went in there and drug people up and down the roads, and they made them heroes. So, but they're exempt. And this is why you hear terms now like, black fatigue, DEI, woke. So they come up with different words to try to change the narrative, to try to flip the script, so to speak, to make it look like, again, making us out to be the boogeyman again.
Well, when Trump says DEI and stuff like that, he is suggesting that all he wants to do is make sure people who have the proper merit get the job. Is that a bad thing?
No, but the thing is, they're inherently thinking they're overprivileged. The reason why DEI was created is because we were always cut short because of how we looked. It wasn't because of we weren't qualified. Of course we were qualified, very much qualified. And the DEI and different programs like that had to be created because we were being cut short because of that.
Okay,
so if that's happening now, I call it reparations. You don't want to give us reparations any other kind of way. But you don't want to give us a monetary. You don't want to give us our 40 acres and a mule. So if somebody got something over you because of how they look, call it reparations. I don't know what else you want.
So you're saying because they didn't atone for the past, give us jobs over white folks, and that could kind of be reparations, so to speak.
But see, the thing is, Tim, the hard thing about that is because I'm probably frozen.
No, I hear you.
Am I frozen?
No, you're not.
Oh, okay. See, the thing is, Tim, they're overlooking the qualifications that we actually do have. So now people are being cut short unjustly. You know, understand what I'm saying? They want us to forget about, that was the past, this was the past. But the program you're talking about was from the past also. So who's to say you're not proving that anybody was hired because they were unqualified or they were hired because of the color of their skin or something like that? Where's the proof of that that's even happening? But what proof we do see, the proof that we do have is that a majority of the people that are losing their jobs right now are African American. Programs that are being cut affect the African American community at a higher standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I
That
don't.
stuff
So what you're saying is you believe that even in 2025, there is a need for DEI because even still in modern time, there are qualified blacks that may not get the job. They may still be discriminating. Is that what you're saying?
Tim, let me tell you something. That happened to me here at my job where I am now. Let me
Oh,
tell you, I've been in the catering business for a long time, since 14 years old. My mom's trained me, did everything. So a position came up here. I applied. I've been here at my job 18 years. 18 years. I have longevity, no write-ups, none of that stuff. And I had the experience. Do you know they didn't hire me? They hired some young kid that's been here 6 months. He don't look like me. He's a total counterpart. And they gave him the job.
but is it possible
he didn't
that
even have the experience?
But is it possible that they just wanted someone younger that longevity or something like that?
Younger meaning what?
I mean,
Experience is experience.
yeah. I mean, I agree.
I'm not an old lady because we have to go through all the same training to get forward, to move forward. Him at his younger age and me at mine, we have to go through the same training.
Okay.
Same exact training.
Just based on the dialogue, I'm assuming you're referring to a younger white male, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
And
So, but what I chalked it up to, I think with me walking in there with so much, with a lot of intimidation, it was intimidating with me just showing up because of my experience and all of that stuff. It was possibility that I could have her job. You understand what I'm saying? So they was like, we can't stand that risk. So we're gonna hire somebody else.
Well,
but it's all good though.
Yeah. What about this
still
case?
here.
What about this now? Supercell fusion.
Dang, I'm
Saying
freezing.
Supercell fusion in the comments said breaking news: Tim needs backstage help with equipment issues. That is 100% true. I'm trying to get my YouTube horizontal going, but he says, and the difference between
I am freezing.
he said the difference between George Floyd and heroes is that they don't look at him as a war hero. So in other words, the other folks that we idolize are war heroes. Are you there? Okay, she may have some kind of issues. I'll go ahead we got to move it on. Miss Mobetta, if you're listening, apparently you either had a bad signal, we had a bad connection. I'll respond to that real quick before I continue on. The difference between George Floyd and the heroes is they don't look at him as a war hero. I don't know if everybody we idolize has been in the military though. I think we could quickly come up with folks because I don't even know if Christopher Columbus would have been was he viewed as a war hero? Somebody let me know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't know if the people we idolize are all war heroes. I have to look into that. It's an interesting point. Interesting point to make, but I'd have to look into it a little bit more. Continuing on, Gerald MC. Good evening, Gerald. Welcome to the program. We had to drop Miss Mobetta because it was breaking. Yeah, Miss Mobetta, I see you said your service was crazy. Yeah, we could. I guess you didn't hear me. But Gerald, good evening.
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. So I take it you've been listening in the idea that George Floyd is not a hero. I'm not here to pretend like he is, but I do believe in this country we tend to idolize folks that have a dark past. Why is he being singled out as someone who should be disqualified because of his past?
Bruh, you know.
I'm trying to learn.
Wait, think about it. Think about this, man. Look at our current justice system. If a black man does something wrong, expect the book to be thrown at you. expected. That's why you better walk the straight and narrow. You mentioned earlier in your commentary, you were talking about he had pulled a gun on somebody, right?
Yeah. On a woman
I had a guy shoot at my drivers.
Huh?
Literally put bullets through the windshields of my drivers, and they let him go.
Wait.
They let him go with a misdemeanor.
Wow. So you had some. Well, you have what type of drivers are you talking about?
I had a contract with a company, and they were couriers. They would deliver to homes, and they delivered to this rich guy's house. Of course, this guy, multi-million-dollar home. They pull up, deliver the packages. He didn't like them in his driveway. He came out cussing at them, so they cussed back at him. He went back in the house and started shooting at them.
Damn. And he got a misdemeanor for that?
He got a misdemeanor.
Yeah, that's
a misdemeanor and $1,000 fine.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bit awful. Yeah, but I mean, do you think that is the norm, that if you are a person of color, you commit a crime, the system's going to be far worse than maybe on that guy? I mean, do you think a person of color could have did that and got a misdemeanor?
No. No way. We get felonies for stuff less than that. I mean, you're going to get tagged with a felony, period. Even the police officer who arrested the guy told me, he said, oh, this guy's going to get a felony. He's going straight to jail, blah, 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 blah. That's breaking all the laws here in this state. You can't do that. You can't do that. And here we go. Prosecutors like, well, all it'll take is get one juror on there that one. And so we're not going to prosecute him. We're just going to give him a misdemeanor.
Wow. Did it, hopefully somebody sued him for mental anguish or something.
Hey, we got one going.
Yeah,
right
hopefully.
Now.
I mean, because obviously
you could take that house.
Yeah, you could ruin the shit out of somebody mentally by shooting, trying to firing gunshots into their car. So hopefully they at least get a lawsuit in. But that's crazy right there. Wow, man. So in other words, with George Floyd, you think it all boils down to just color, huh? Gerald, are you there? Okay, he went gray, so apparently he got a phone call. He didn't drop, but I'll continue on. Looking in the comments, I'm waiting to hear his excuse. Didn't count. Hey, I see you in the comments. What excuse am I? Okay, I'm curious to know. Not just owning them, but graping them and hanging them in. Okay, I'm curious to know what you guys are talking about in the comments. By the way, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 20,000. Supercell Fusion, thank you. Says, by the way, we all need to wish Tim a happy Memorial Day. And in the same sentiment to all of you folks. However, if I'm correct, happy Memorial Day almost seems like it's inappropriate when you think about the nature of what the Memorial Day holiday is about. I mean, you're honoring folks who lost their lives. You're honoring the war dead generally. You're honoring the veterans that are deceased. So I don't know if it's happy just doesn't seem to be fitting with that. But I do believe that is what folks say is happy Memorial Day. But happy doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what word should go there. But and I see Gangsta Grandma correctly says it's not a happy day. And I know your situation in particular, Grandma, certainly. Real quick in the comment before we move on. My white neighbor is a reoffender. Went to jail for resisting arrest. He keeps getting out. We are having the wrong conversation. We should have a discussion about being less lenient to white folks, says Jotling in the comments. By way of yes or no in the comments. And I got folks across the spectrum. Liberals, conservatives, MAGA, progressives, white, black, and other. By way of yes or no in the comments, in 2025, not 1950, right now, how many of you folks, by way of yes or no in the comments, believe that currently, as we speak, the justice system still treats people of color less than white? Right now, we're not talking 40, 50 years ago, right now. How many folks believe that the justice system still treats people of color to a lesser degree than people who are white? I do got some no's, and some most of the folks seem to be saying yes. Tim Hart says no, and Sean P says 100%. Wow. So some of you, I do see a lot of you folks who do believe that that is the case, but then again, some others think otherwise. I would be curious because even though I got folks across the spectrum, and I don't know, what color the person is that's responding, I would be curious to know how many people of color would answer that question by saying no. Because my guess is most of the people who would say that people of color are not being mistreated by the justice system any more than whites are probably white. I'd be curious to know if how many people of color believe the criminal justice system is treating them just with the same level of equality as they are of white people. I'd just be curious to know. Looking in the comments, only the whitewash would. Oh my God. You're right, Tim. I'm white, says Eric, or says Epic Garner. Yeah, I think if you're going to get some folks that are saying the system is fair to all, I do believe most of the folks that are saying it probably are going to be white. I'm assuming Candace Owens, Officer Tatum would say that. But majority of the folks say that probably are not going to be a person of color. Let me continue on with the one and only Gangsta Grandma. Good evening or welcome to the program. If you have money, you can beat just about anything. Has nothing to do with your color, says Peter. That's a great point.
He's so full of shit.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. We're gonna bring up O.J. Simpson. He was a black man and got off with allegedly killing 2 white people. You don't think money makes a difference?
Nah, it was because of the stupid ass attorney trying to put the glove on. That's what made it. That's what fucked it all up.
So you don't think?
But it is what it is. It could be money too. Hell,
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't really give a damn. You feel what I'm saying? Then they're gonna treat us like shit. The white man's always gonna walk. It is what it is. Look at what's in office right now. He's getting away with everything. If it was Obama or Biden did half the shit this motherfucker doing now, they'd be crying and everything else. But the white man, no, he getting away with that thing.
But how do you if you're going to say the white man always walks, how do you explain Derek Chauvin? He went to prison for 20 years for taking out a black guy. Some folks folks are suggesting that he didn't even kill George Floyd, and he's getting 20 years in prison.
He did. But we had a fair justice system that went after him. Now we don't. Now we have people that's corrupt that doesn't give a damn. That gave the police immunity and stuff. They're taking our civil rights things away. What the fuck? You know what I mean? We're going to go back.
Who's taking your civil rights away?
The civil rights division and shit. Like if they make pranks with the popos.
Yeah, but
like you know what I mean? They're taking that shit away.
Well, right now, as we speak, you haven't lost any civil rights, though.
Oh my God, Tim!
I'm asking.
Tim. I'm being so nice right now, Tim. Jesus is working on me. I'm so high right now. You're gonna blow my high. I gotta go fucking straight ham on your ass.
No, I'm asking. Are you trying to indicate that Trump has taken civil rights away already?
He's taking the police things, man. Damn. Tim,
I'm
cut
listening.
the shit out. I know you like the white man, but damn. We gotta put some shit. Come on now. He's taking the oversight away from the popo.
Yeah.
Like, you know how the oversight be looking?
Yeah.
And saying that they're doing the illegal shit. He took that from him. They took that away. What the fuck are you talking about?
But
Willis?
if you take the oversight away from the police, wouldn't that expose white people to mistreatment too?
No.
How?
Come on now.
I'm asking. I mean,
you know, you're fluffing way too much.
Are you trying to tell me that the police can't mistreat white people?
They don't. Let's break this shit down to you. When they don't get unalive, the po-po shootings at the schools, they be walking out, right? But if it was a black man, they wouldn't be walking out, right? Come on now. They kill a black man over a cell phone thinking it's a gun before they do it to the white man. Now let's keep it a buck. And you a black man. Don't say, or do not say that you do that thing about you gonna go fluffing on the other side.
No, it ain't about fluffing. But I'm just.
Yes, it really is with you, Tim. Because I be seeing you. I be seeing you on the conservative black thing. Boy, you be fluffing.
No,
you be catering to them. Yes.
How am I
child.
fluffing by merely asking you a question? How am I fluffing?
You know it's the truth. You know they treat us different. You know that if it was a black man that shot up, pew-pewing up the malls and shit, they wouldn't be walking out. But if the white team, man, they sure did walk the fuck out. They treat us totally fucking different. If it was, all they could say is, "Oh my God, I feel threatened," and it was a damn a cell phone. Come on now, even black men that didn't have nothing in their hands got unalived.
I want you to hear this because it just. I'm hearing what you're saying. I want you to hear this because I want you to give me your opinion on this.
Talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way.
More white people are dying than blacks.
Okay. Now let's get educated really quick before I choke the fuck out you, okay? On God. Yeah, and I'm not gonna put my hands on. I'll go through the grace of God. I'm gonna choke you the fuck out through the Spirit. You feel what I'm saying? Now let me tell you something. Let me break this shit down to you. Do you realize that they put Hispanics underneath the white man? They do. They put Hispanics underneath the white. So when you think it's the white people that's getting them now, no, sweetheart. They put Hispanics underneath the white because they think it's them as whites. Google is fucking free.
Who are they? Who are they?
The FBI and shit. They all put them underneath the white. It was all undercut. It was all Google is free. I ain't gonna lie to you. They put Hispanics as white. So if you really think it's the white man that's getting unalived, no, got Hispanics in there. And the ones that are getting unalived the most is Native Americans, black men and black women, and Native Americans, then the Hispanics, then the Asians and stuff. It keeps on going. Go look it up. It is free.
Well, the reason I asked you who are they is because it sounds like you're trying to suggest that systemic racism still exists.
It does. What are you talking about?
How does that? How can that?
You think? What's going on now? You don't think there's no systemic racism going on? Oh my God. Yes, you are so fluffy. I can't even yell right now. I'm so fucking high. See, you got me on a fucked up damn day because I really want to choke you the fuck out.
Wait a minute. Before you get violent. Before you get violent, for God's sake, Gangsta Grandma.
For one thing is, before I'm going to cut your ass off, don't ever think you over here saying I'm a far left, and then you over here saying that you're afraid to meet me because I'm going to slap the shit out of you. I don't believe in domestic violence. I really don't. But sometimes you get me to the point that I really do want to choke the fuck out your ass. But I don't believe in all that.
Gangsta Grandma, for God's sakes, we had a black president. How can we have systemic racism when the top of the pyramid has been black?
I tell you. See, I was trying to be fucking nice to you. But now you're going to blow my fucking high. What the fuck you making? We have a black president. We can't have no systemic racism. Are you fucking white?
Are you saying that Obama was in on it?
Oh, my God. I swear to God. I tell you, Lordy, I can't deal with your black ass not today. You're blowing me. You're blowing my fucking high.
I'm just trying to find out.
Racism. What the fuck are you talking about?
We've had a black president, and yet
Okay, we had a black president. You want a fucking cookie? We can't even get a black woman as a fucking president because of damn racist asses.
No.
And the chauvinistic bitches. No. What the fuck? And you talking, there ain't no racism here. What the fuck you talking about, Willis?
Well, in the comments, Supercell Fusion says, when you're white, it is all right. But when you're black, you got to get back and stick around, which is wrong. And also, that is very wrong. So it sounds like you kind of agree. You think that your complexion makes a significant difference on how law enforcement treats you in our society. Even now.
It sure does. It sure do. The Popo don't give a fuck. I'm telling you, girl, boy, oh my God, Lord have mercy. If a white tea bitch can walking up with a pew pew, you don't think they don't get on live? Fuck no. A black woman does it, she'll get on live. It is based on the color of our damn skin. What you talking about, Willis? And please don't. We have proof after proof that they did it. They did it to my own brother. What are you talking about, Willis?
I'm just trying to
They
figure out how can we still have systemic racism if we've already had a
We
black
do have
president?
systemic racism.
We've had a
The
black
United
president.
States is built. You know the United States was built on racism? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm not disagreeing with that, but how could a country that is involved in systemic racism elect a black president?
Oh my God! Because half the motherfuckers are so well, you know, like they say, some of the people thought that he wasn't black. Go fucking figure, right? Because he's half. See, we have some fucked up, uneducated motherfuckers here. You feel what I'm saying? I shit you not. So half the population thought that he wasn't. He was white. The other half, yeah, he was a black man. Yep.
Okay, but then if what you were claiming,
you got a black friend. Honey, you got a black friend to still be racist. What are you talking about, Willis?
If all of what you're claiming is true, that even after having a black president, we still have systemic racism, then you're admitting that Obama did virtually nothing for people of color.
He did. He tried to do a lot. He did try. He did Obamacare and stuff, but they wouldn't let him do nothing because of why? He was a black man. They even said it. The Republicans said it. He was going to be a lame duck because they wouldn't let him pass nothing to make him look good.
Well, Obamacare is not. No,
you're feeding and cupcaking. It could be the girly pop for the white side.
No,
don't forget they got ropes and shit.
God, I'm talking about the fact that we need to have racial harmony. You're saying that we still have systemic racism. Obamacare does not get rid of racism and all this stuff you're claiming exists. That means
I'm gonna tell you something. We're never gonna have racial harmony in this damn place. But you know why? Because there's always gonna be some hateful ass mofos, hateful ass people up in the bitch. Look what they did in Kansas when they did the Triple K was over there this past weekend when they was marching. We're never going to have harmony.
Well, they have a right to. Gangsta grandma, people have a right to march whether you like them or not.
And why the Triple K? But then they don't like the consequences, huh?
What do you mean?
I wish a bitch would mark in my neighborhood.
Well, they do have, even the Triple K that you're bringing up, they have free speech rights to march and assemble.
No, bitch, you said, can we have harmony? No, bitch, we're never going to have harmony. Since the Triple K can have the balls and have to start marching, why? And well, no. Fuck that.
So how do you respond to the fact that people point out that BLM, when they're marching, they say hateful things toward whites?
Woo! I didn't say nothing hateful.
You ain't never heard anything hateful about, flying?
Not really. We were doing peaceful protesting. It was there was the people that came in and started shit. Yeah, they was talking shit.
What about this chant? What about this chant here? Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. That actually was coming.
Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Who the fuck?
They're talking about police.
I mean, I don't like the po-po either.
Oh my! So you're defending it.
They are pigs.
So it's okay as long as it's coming from people of color, but not from white people.
Because we're the ones that get unalived by the police. What the fuck are you talking about? We don't have to like their asses. I don't like the police. They don't like our asses. What the fuck? Give them the same damn fucking energy. Motherfucker, you're racist. You're no good for another cop. Get the fuck out of here.
So you're okay with chanting to unalive them?
No, I did not say that.
That's what you just did.
I did not say to unalive the police. No, I said the police are bacon. They sure I smell bacon and stuff. I don't.
What do you think? What do you think?
I would say go unalive them. No.
What do you think? Fry them like bacon means?
Like a pork chop? I don't know. I don't like bacon.
All right, I got one. Oh my God, I got one question before.
I'm not saying to go unalive they sorry asses.
That's what they're.
Do that on their damn self.
That's what they're
talking about. I'm not saying that.
I got one more.
Saying all that.
I got one more question before I move it on. Someone wanted me to ask you. Supercell Fusion says, how does she feel? Talking about you, how does she feel about the cop from, I think it was Atlanta or from Mississippi, that got a pardon from President Trump? Who is that cop? I'm not aware of that. What cop got a pardon from Trump? Are you aware of that, Gangsta Grandma?
Hell no, but if he did something fucked up, he got a pardon. Oh, I know, yes. Oh, no, he's fucked up for it. What are you talking about? If it's the same damn cop, yeah, he's fucked up for it. Like all the ones that from January 6th, they got pardons and stuff. Fuck that.
Yeah, but what?
They should never got pardoned for none of this shit.
What cop
Why
got
are you
pardoned?
pardoning the popo?
I'm curious to know what cop. Yeah, okay. All right, I got to move it on to Instagram.
But let me tell you something. See, let me tell you something, Tim. I be seeing your ass on other fucking lives. You need to get some damn balls. On God, you need to get some balls.
Really?
You need to start pushing the fuck back. Because they be walking on you and stuff. Push the fuck back. They won't add me. You know why they won't add me? Because I will roast them to hell and back and take them to the pits of hell. Because I'm not a nice Democrat. And you need to quit telling people that I'm far left. I'm a moderate. I just don't like the
You're left of me. How about that? You lean left of me.
Well, what are you? Aren't you a moderate?
I'm left of center.
That's what I am. I just don't like whatchamacallit. I don't like the MAGAs because they racist pieces of shit. And I don't like the police because they like to unalive our black asses. That's what it is.
You think all MAGA are racist? All of them?
Okay. You walk like a fucking duck. You talk like a fucking duck. You a duck. You believe in that fucking man, and he spits out every damn thing. Yes, you are a racist because you are following him and you voted for him. Yes, you are. If you're not a racist is if you went against the maggots and you say, you know what, I can't do it no more. Because there's a couple of people I've seen on social media saying I don't like him because he is a racist.
What if you're just pro-life, pro-2A? You know, you don't like all this LGBTQ shit. Do you really have to be a racist?
We don't like their asses. We don't like they straight asses. Every damn movie we see Jingling going to coochie all the fucking time. We see sex.
God.
We see, yeah, come on now. Oh, did you hear what Texas is doing now? Oh my God. Okay, they took the corn already, right? Then they took they're taking the Mary Jane away. What I've been smoking on every damn day. You feel what I'm saying?
I'm listening.
Now they're trying to take the toys away. From the women.
Are you for real? You talking about like sex toys?
The toys away from the women.
They're trying to take.
They're
trying to take sex toys away. I have not heard that.
Hell yeah! They're trying to. They took a corn away. They're taking Mary Jane away. Now they're trying to take the toys away. Like what the fuck? Men can't even last more than 2 minutes if you got the good coochie. But now they're gonna take the toys away. Like death goes down. Oh, I feel so bad for the blue dots in Texas. I feel, baby, you gotta come to Cali and stuff.
Well,
damn.
All right, Gates. I gotta move on. I gotta move on. But men can last a lot longer than 2 minutes. That's not real.
No, they can't.
That's a joke. There is no such thing as a 2 minute brother. That's a myth. I gotta go.
Yes, there is.
No, it's not. I gotta go.
Don't you lie.
Quit watching movies. Thank you. There is no such thing. All right, tap the screen. Thank you for the hat, mustache, big dog. Yeah. Appreciate. Thank you for the love. Thank you for your support. Yes, straight meth addicts is up like wow. The most stupid UK saying. What is that Southern booch? I ain't racist, but let's trade places. Trace the hate and face it. Mr. E, I'd like to know more what you're getting at. Feel free to elaborate on it. I think you're probably talking about the Democrat Party being pro-slavery or something like that. I'm thinking that's where you're going, but let me know. Tap the screen, by the way, folks. Get the likes up to about 30,000. We can certainly make that happen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Continuing, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. George Floyd was a criminal who became a victim, says Big Face News, and that's true. I don't disagree with that. He certainly was a criminal, but here's the pushback. Many would suggest that Floyd did not die at the hands of Derek Chauvin. George Floyd literally took his own life by engaging in irresponsible activities, such as perhaps narcotics, such as perhaps, health issues with his heart, or maybe not shielding himself properly from the pandemic. People believe he passed away from other things. I do believe he's victimized for the simple fact of, I'll just say this. I don't really need to see the autopsy results. I'll just say it like this. Let's say Floyd lost his life due to COVID, an enlarged heart, some narcotic, or whatever the case may be. It still bears to ask the question. So Derek Chauvin stumbled up on someone who was essentially minutes from passing away, whether it's through COVID, whether it's through narcotics, or whether it's through some other health issue. Derek Chauvin stumbled upon Floyd, who was going to lose his life to one of those issues, and decided to just sit on him for 9 minutes. Could have been giving him Narcan to offset some kind of narcotic. Could have been doing something if his heart was having issues, such as dialing the paramedics. You know, he just stumbled up on the guy and just sat on him. So even if Floyd did not pass away due to asphyxiation from Derek Chauvin's actions are still inappropriate no matter what. I mean, if you come upon a heroin addict as a cop and you just sit on a person and they pass away, you're probably going to be held accountable for that too. So even if you believe Derek Chauvin passed or George Floyd died of something else, Derek Chauvin's actions still were inappropriate. You don't address someone who is losing their life to COVID, fentanyl, or an enlarged heart or whatever. You don't address any of that shit by sitting on somebody. So I don't think you're really helping them out by claiming that something else took George Floyd's life, because the way he was addressed by Derek Chauvin in his final moments of life is still inappropriate. Still inappropriate. Even if, as Jim Porter says, he did not choke him. Even if he didn't choke him, you still can't just sit on somebody who was in narcotic overdose. So Derek Chauvin's actions are inappropriate no matter how you look at it. Looking in the comments, he would have got away with it if it wasn't televised. Mr. Mobetta, 100% true. 100%. If that was not video recorded, if they didn't have phones out and things like that, yeah, it would not have been. Derek Chauvin would still be on the force. In fact, before I go to the next caller, and tap the screen, get me on up to 30,000. We can certainly make that happen. A good minute of tapping helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. You know, we're MAGA friendly forever, always have been, always will be. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. There's no denying that Derek Chauvin would have gotten away with it. Some folks always say, well, why the hell did folks just recently started having a problem with the cops and things like that? When we were kids, cops were heroes, and there's no denying that. When I was a child, cops would come to the school. Some folks aspired to be a police officer when they reached adulthood. Now all of a sudden, there's all of this dislike and hatred toward police. What the hell caused that? You know, in my humble opinion, Steve Jobs. I always give Steve Jobs credit for why there is such an anti-sentiment in recent times against police. Why do I say that? Because Steve Jobs put a movie studio in the hands of virtually all Americans. Before the iPhone, before the smartphone, very few Americans carried a camera with them. You may have had a digital camera, you remember, but you didn't carry that around with you all the time. Maybe you're going to Disney World or you're going to a family event and you wanted to take pictures, so you brought your camera with you. But you didn't carry your camera with you all the time. Even the smaller cameras, you didn't always carry your camera with you. But once he integrated cameras and phones together, he guaranteed that everywhere you go, if you have an iPhone, you also have a video camera. So we went from an era where African Americans were always complaining about the mistreatment of police, Hispanics too, but it was always their word against the cops. Keep in mind, Hispanics, people of color, have always been complaining that the police has mistreated them, but with no evidence, going up against a sworn officer, well, you know, it is what it is. Certainly someone like George Floyd with a criminal rap sheet that as long as a CVS receipt, okay, he's claiming that the police mistreated him. Don't they all? They all say that. So it would have went nowhere. But all of a sudden, once Steve Jobs put a movie studio in the hands of every American, it's a lot different when you can say, not only am I going to tell you he did this, here he is on video doing it. And all of a sudden, you started seeing the fact that cops actually do take people's lives. It turns out that some of these people of color actually was telling the truth about some of these stories. Even the ones who were multiple long-time felons. Even some of them are coming and presenting stories that turns out that was true. He did get his ass kicked. He did get robbed. That guy did try to kill him for no reason at all. He actually wasn't making it up despite the lengthy criminal history he has. And that is from that point on, the cops' relationship, so to speak, with the public has been, has taken a downfall because you can actually see them on camera doing things that they could easily dismiss in the past. But anyway, looking in the comments, Black people, very big star. I don't know what that means, Fernando Soto. A lot of Black folks tried doing the Handsome Liberals platform, yet they all fall short. Really? They all fail and fall short. Tim, FYI, you're doing it the best in the space. Just so you know, keep it up. Thank you, Sean. Wow. That's touching. Appreciate that. Black people ain't never liked the police. Stop fluffing, Tim. I didn't say they liked the, well, I disagree with that. Some African Americans did and still do like the police. I mean, if you go to urban areas, there's a lot of African Americans that are on the police department. So they don't all hate the police. But they always have had stories that they were being mistreated by the police. And those stories are being dismissed as people just making up stuff because they did not like getting held accountable for the crimes they committed. But now, like I stated, they're able to come to court and show photos and video that what they're saying happened to them actually happened. Denkel, good evening. Welcome to the program. There are Black cops everywhere, said true. In urban areas, you go to rural Alabama, rural Mississippi, ain't a lot of Black cops. In fact, I'll tell you this, when people complain, why do Black folks always have a chip on their shoulder and an attitude? I'll tell you this, if you put a whole squadron of Black cops in a rural Alabama town, even if they actually are committing crimes in some kind of biker or hillbilly bar, you think a bunch of Black cops could walk in there and everybody would comply and cooperate? Have you seen 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy? Do you think they could actually do that? Denkel, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, so Floyd, what's so different about him? Now, I gave the spiel that in America, a hell of a lot of our heroes, because folks say George Floyd had no reason at all receiving a mural or a tribute, because he definitely is no hero. And I'm not denying that. He did have a long criminal rap sheet. However, our heroes in this country often have a dark past. I mentioned Christopher Columbus. I mean, it ain't like he came bringing cookies. He's known for the largest land theft in probably global history. Yet he has statues and tributes every damn where. You can talk about the founding fathers. You can talk about Confederate statues, all of that. They all have a dark past. But yet George Floyd is the one they're saying because of his past, he should not be memorialized. Why is he being viewed differently? I don't get it. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, I think we all kind of get it. I don't know if like the people who view him as a criminal, so there is no good that came from his existence, vice the people like the forefathers who we know were rapists and murderers and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
they like they invented the country, so they get a pass. All of these people. So all of the people, even like Elon Musk, you know what I'm saying? He's been all of the slave labor he's been using to produce his vehicles. We don't say nothing, but they think he's the most intelligent man in the world. It's like that's kind of the way we.
Well, it's hard to be the richest man on earth and people not think you're intelligent, though. I mean, everybody want to be like you.
Right, but I just had a conversation with a gentleman the other day talking about Elon Musk's intelligence, and from his perspective, Elon Musk invented Teslas. He invented electric cars. He designed space rockets. He's the main guy in Neuralink who's doing all of this stuff. They don't understand. All he did was purchase companies. Yeah.
He's kind of like a modern day Benjamin Franklin, where he's just, he just buys out inventors and buys out companies and then takes credit. Or better yet, in the Black community, he's Quincy Jones. That's what Quincy Jones was known for. All kind of music. He ain't saying shit, but he's known for his name is on all kinds of records and albums. Yeah, you don't hear his voice singing a damn thing. That's what that's what Elon Musk is.
He's like an orchestrator, but he's not sitting down in a lab like Tony Stark's or Iron Man, the richest man in the world, just developing all of this fancy stuff. Right. He literally went to Tesla and he forced them to put his name down as the founder. Even though the company already existed, he did not design the Tesla cars. He didn't do anything, but he was good at promotion. He's like Trump.
You kind of wonder if the actual founder, even if you buy the company out and you own the company, I kind of wonder if the actual founder would still not be able to sue you in court. You can't make up that you founded this company and you did not do that. I mean, even though you bought it out and it's yours, you didn't find it. You're not a founder.
He strong-armed the board that was in charge of the company, and he used his money to say, look, if you guys don't put me down as the founder, then I'm not going to purchase the company. You're not going to have all of this extra capital. And they succumbed. I mean, rich people do rich things. They're like, as long as I get paid, I don't give a damn.
I mean, I got to admit, if I was trying to sell some shit and you want to say you founded, hey, look, I'm just trying to get paid, I would probably go ahead and do it as well. But it's different when you got hundreds of people that work for the company that know the difference. Like, you really think this is going to fly? I mean, some of these people going to talk,
I mean, that's like saying like Donald Trump is responsible for the, for all of the people that are going to his resorts or something. Like, he's a branding guy, but the actual product, he has nothing to do with it. Like, he didn't invent golf. He didn't invent hotels. He didn't invent anything. For people to be running around thinking that he designed EVs and that he's designing rockets that take people to Mars is crazy. He's a rich South African dude that made money off of his parents. They had a precious minerals mine that he got money off of. He left. He left South Africa, after apartheid because they couldn't get their way. They moved to Canada. They almost got pushed out of Canada for trying to do the same thing they were doing in South Africa, and he ended up in America where he hit the jackpot by being able to have this money. Let
me ask you this: what do you think is the motive of Elon? Now, obviously, we've brought over, a few dozen South Afrikaners and things like that. And we know you're talking about everything from apartheid and the racism in South Africa. Do you think it's possible? And I'm just speculating here. So if I'm reaching, you can correct me, or folks in the comments can as well. Do you think it's possible that we may have deliberately given citizenship to people who are racist to bring them in this country?
I mean, he was raised on apartheid. Like, that's the way he thinks.
Well, that's not fair, though.
Just because you move to another country doesn't change your thinking. Have you seen the interviews with his dad?
I've seen some of it. His dad.
Have you heard his mom talk? Like, that family screwed up.
But I gotta defend them. I gotta defend the South Afrikaners from this standpoint. You say they were raised that way. Look, we was raised as homophobes. I mean, most of us that grew up in the 70s and 80s, we made all kinds of gay jokes and all of that shit. But hopefully we have evolved from that. We're not like that now. Is it possible that these folks have evolved and they're not like that now?
Well, look, I can't give any credit to none of the South Africans because they were not exposed to a genocide. Those people that came over here, those 59 people, were not exposed to genocidal Africans coming to just, like, that's not the truth. And to believe that is, it's almost, I mean, I can't imagine somebody sitting here really believing, seeing those people come over here, standing there with American flags, waving their flags, most of them, you know what I'm saying, chunky, healthy people. Right. They've not been abused at all. And then the man who sits there in front of the South African president waving some stuff, talking about, look at this and look at this. All of this shit come from the Congo, while the president's sitting there telling them that.
I
don't
saw
know
that.
what
I saw
is
that.
this.
Yeah.
Who is this? I've never seen this. Who is these people?
Yeah,
It was all bullshit, and it was all set up by Elon, who was standing there smiling in the background.
well, it seemed to be working out. I guess somebody has a question for you. Super Fusion says, tell Den Cal on his, now I didn't see this, so I'll give you a chance to explain it because I'm curious now that he's wrote this, but he said on your last feed, it was really touching to me, and I felt his sadness and his pain, one veteran to another. Thank you for saying that. Wasn't able to say that the last time, but I watched a replay of your last feed. Did you do some kind of compelling video?
No, I mean, I kind of told a short synopsis of my life and the struggles that I had come through to be able to be in a position, but to say that I am the exception and I am not the rule. So yes, I went through all of these hard times, and for me to make it to a position where I'm comfortable in life, to look back at the people who didn't and look at them and say, why don't you guys just take advantage of all of this stuff that's available? Like it's not really like that. I was lucky. I was in a position. I had certain family members who supported me and helped me, along with a little bit of money, with lawyers, to be able to be in a position. And so maybe that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's per our last conversation. Now I know what you're talking about now. Now I get it. I thought you had done something on your page, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and we both covered that, is that sometimes just the circumstances are right to prevent the streets that is normally calling folks like us that grew up in the hood. The streets is always calling, and a few folks don't answer those calls at least far enough to get caught up in the system. But we all at least pick up the phone a few times. Some folks have a long conversation and they end up, getting locked up or whatever. But we all do look, we've all hit a few licks. We've all done a little bit because the streets is calling just that fucking much. But fortunately, yeah, I get what he's saying now. I didn't know what he was talking about at first, but that's per our last conversation.
And I just want to tell it's hard for me going after gangster grandma because nobody wants to go after her. But I just wanted to tell gangster grandma to calm down and just understand the assignment when you're talking to the handsome liberal. Understand the assignment.
I mean, I have to challenge folks. I mean, despite me leaning left a little bit, I have to. Everything coming from the left ain't correct. So I got to challenge when I hear things that are worthy of challenging.
I know, but Tim, come on, man. You ain't here talking about something. We had a black president.
We did. we actually had a black president. And we had a black vice president. We got black Supreme Court. I mean, we got, how long has Clarence Thomas been on the Supreme Court? A black man on the Supreme Court.
Okay. Yeah, who was replaced by a Republican and replaced a person of Thurgood Marshall's, you know what I'm saying, integrity. That's not an equal comparison to be.
I'm not saying whether he's equal or not, but I am saying if we're claiming that America is systemically racist, you got to admit there's a whole lot of people of color in high positions. Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice. I mean, we've put a bunch of African Americans in high positions for a country to be.
And I know.
Go ahead.
I know that you know this, but I'm just talking to the people in the chat. Okay. Listen, talking about the people that have attained those highest levels. They're just like I said, they're the exception. They're not the rule. If you want to know if systematic racism happens, you have to look at the statistics of the middle and the lower class. You have to look at the salaries, the average salaries of different groups. You have to look at the different incarcerations of different groups. You have to look at all of these different things to determine if these things are structural. To say that we can sit up here and name 15 people that have been to the highest levels of our society when we've had billions of people throughout our history of this country is just not. It's just not an equal way of explaining whether there's systemic.
Well,
racism.
yeah, but you're taking folks that at least white folks that made it to these upper echelons long before we had civil rights. And of course, in those eras, it was not a country that treated people equally. But I'm talking about from, let's say, 1964 to 1970s. You have started seeing significant growth in the black community. Would you not agree with that?
No doubt. I would never disagree with the amount of growth we've experienced as a group of people, and we have attained a lot of, there are whole neighborhoods and whole cities full of people, middle class, African Americans, which there had never been in society. But if you're gonna try to compare these things, you have to do it on a per capita basis. You can't just be like, look, there's a bunch of successful black people, there's no such thing as systemic racism. I can tell you about a couple years ago when Navy Federal was found guilty of redlining. I'm talking about a couple of years ago.
What in what way? Like not certain neighborhoods they were doing that too?
Yes, they were guiding people into specific neighborhoods and also giving us higher interest rates when they gave us when we were equal to maybe a white counterpart.
Wow.
So we could have this conversation about the optics, and we could look on TV and be like, yeah, we've made it. Look, we got LeBron James, or we got, but just like Chris Rock said, Chris Rock said at the height of his fame, he said he would go out to the mailbox and he would look across the street to his neighbor, and his neighbor was like a dentist. And they was living on the same level.
I remember that joke.
The best comedian, getting awards and everything, and he walked outside, and that guy across the street had just as much or more than he had, and it wasn't because he was just the best dentist ever. He was probably a mediocre dentist.
Yeah, I do remember. That was his last special. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but like I said, it's going to take time. We just received civil rights a generation or so ago, or 2 generations or so. So, I mean, and I had, because I seen a comment, somebody said, Poby says, I don't listen to Tim on other lives. But I was telling somebody else that if you look at, because every time our blacks commit most of the crimes and things like that, and I told them, if you were to put on a graph the success of the black community from 1776 up till 2025, you wouldn't even have to tell them when the Civil Rights Act was passed. You would see it on the graph. Like all of a sudden, more people are graduating from high school. They're getting better jobs. They're living in better neighborhoods. They're graduating from college. You would literally be able to see on the graph something must have happened around this time, because all of a sudden they're getting these jobs. They're in politics more. You would be able to see it. And he didn't like me saying that because he was trying to chastise Lyndon Johnson for saying, I'm going to have Negroes voting for the next 200 years, whatever. And I'm telling him, like, it don't matter what the hell he said. You got to take into consideration what he did.
Right. That's why, I really don't like having that conversation with people who haven't experienced it or don't understand what that means. All they know is that a guy at work is like their supervisor, so they racism can exist because look at this. But I can know from when I got a job working for the government. I go in the first day, we have orientation. They tell me how I need to get my certification to do government contracts. I got 90 days to get it done. I go in and I take care of it. I get my certification, my qualifications. I go into work. And then I look at all of the supervisors that are equal to me, and ain't none of them got their shit. And all of them, I'm just saying, were white men. And so now when I look at the list, and they talking about all of the people that that are taking care of supervising government contracts, I got 15. The other dudes that been there forever, they talking about I ain't getting that qualification. My job description don't say nothing about that, and they don't have none of the qualifications that I have. When I got hired, they wanted me to bring up my not just show them through my resume that I had the transcript. They wanted me to get my transcripts to show them that I had actually been to college and got my degree.
Wow.
Now I get in there, and none of these other people ain't got their degrees.
And you're talking about in the 90s.
I'm talking about in the 2020s.
Wow. Shit.
I'm talking about after I retired in 2010, when I went back to work a couple years later, that's when I got back into the workforce, and I go into the workforce, and I'm like, I look at the job description, and it says you got to have 4 years of college, you got to have this, and you got to have that, this amount of experience and everything. And I go in there, and I find out the guy that's equal to me, but working in another department. This dude was like a damn handyman, he was like a handyman, and so he just put it. He was a journeyman on his resume, and he got the damn job. But they really want to know if I actually had the qualifications, and it was disturbing. But that's kind of like my understanding of the world. But then people who have no understanding of being on that other side, talking about, no, that racism don't exist. They have no idea what's going on in this world.
Well, the good thing is before I move it on from you is we got Trump now, and Trump is going to correct that. Trump is going to unite this country and get us in a post-racial America.
We go a merit-based. Did he pick somebody that had like 8 years in the military to run the whole military complex?
Yeah, Trump is here to correct all of that. So have no fear, Trump is here. Cal, thank you for coming through.
Hey, one quick last thing. I just wanted to tell you that back when we were growing up, there was not such a dichotomy between like the black community and police. Back when I was growing up in Detroit, they had a program in Detroit public schools called the Blue Pigs. And the cops used to come to our schools, and they would have this whole presentation, let us look at the cars and all of that stuff. Yep. Their name was the Blue Pigs.
They actually called it the Blue Pigs, though?
It was called the Blue Pigs.
Wow. I mean, but I do agree. When we were coming up, I do believe we were more friendlier with cops back then than we are now.
Right.
I think it's because of the videos. I think it's because now you can see that a lot of folks, even some of the folks in your neighborhood that you don't trust with a dime, you feel like they are criminals, but you know now that some of these folks are telling the truth. The cops is mistreating them. We didn't used to believe that.
Oh, for sure. You hit it on the head. I didn't even think of it like that, but the moment we were able to film people doing these things, it changed a lot of people's perspective.
Yep. Yeah. And that's also what happened with Rodney King is the guy came and presented video evidence. If just like with George Floyd, if Rodney King's incident was not caught on video, he's already running through the streets of Los Angeles at high speed, putting everybody's lives at risk. So if he had just showed up to the jail with his ass beaten, his eye socket broken, things like that. Look, he took us on a 100-mile chase. He got out of the car. He was resisting arrest. It took a hell of a time to get him down, but unfortunately, he sustained some injuries during the arrest. And that would be 100% believable if the ass beating was not caught on video.
Right, and he would have been like a million others before him. Yep. And they would have went on about their business because you seen the way they did it. They was pretty proficient. At whooping his tail. That wasn't the first time they had done it.
No.
They had the high-ranking people. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm moving on. There's a little bit of a
easy, good talk.
Yeah, you too. There's a little bit of a delay, but thank you, Cal. Moving on with the program. We always knew the cops were corrupt. We always knew how not to act when they showed up. Alter ego, yeah and no. I will say this: when we grew up, we just respected the damn police. I mean, you kind of had to talk a little bit, but the talk that you had with your parents growing up as a Gen Xer is not the same as these millennials and alpha kids are having. I mean, because we didn't grow up afraid of cops. They grew up now under an era where they don't see cops kill people who didn't deserve it. We hadn't seen that. We may have heard a story or two, But the stuff we were hearing, as I was telling my last caller, was coming from people who had no credibility. You're on the block committing all sorts of capers your damn self. How do we know you're telling the truth? I mean, you out here constantly doing shit. How do we know you're telling the truth when you say the cops are? Now, this generation, now they've seen it. We hadn't seen it. So it's a big difference. Our relationship with cops was nowhere near as bad as the current generation. And like I said, it's because they've seen so much video. Gangsta Grandma got that cough medicine corn syrup in her. She is lit up. Well, she's not she's not sipping on syrup, Supercell. She's actually talking about that ganja, that marijuana. So I don't know about that. We don't have cell phones in my day. It was always going down like that. Well, like I said, back in the day, the folks who were complaining about being mistreated by cops were generally bad folks. I mean, most of them were generally people who were doing something wrong. So it was a little bit different back then. So anyway, continuing on, Commercial Avenue was always hot, but we navigated. Alter Ego, you're talking about, you must be from Chicago. You're talking about over east, Commercial Ave. Rodney King got that money, was a gift and a curse. Yeah, he got paid. He definitely got paid. And yeah, he ended up dying in the swimming pool of one of the homes he bought. Tim, a 240-pound man in a Hyundai doing 100 miles an hour in mountainous terrain. I live in LA, that area, 210 freeway starts going into the mountains. Whatever the case is, King was driving well over the speed limit, putting lives at risk. I mean, unless he was driving on a road that nobody was on, which I don't think that's the case. So if he had lost his life and it was not on video, he would have just, took the beating he got, rather not lost his life, but took the beating he got, it would have just been, it happened. That's kind of the way it would have been. Stick Darula. Good evening, Stick. Welcome to the program. Stick.
Hey, what's going on, Tim? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. Now, we were talking about the notion that George Floyd, has no business being memorialized, no business having tributes and murals. What say you?
Well, before we get on George Floyd and how I feel about that, let me just clear the air real quick, because you did say something that sounded kind of fluffy.
Oh no. What do you got?
Yeah, Tim. And I don't really do this, but you just said we didn't see it.
We didn't what? I said we didn't what?
We didn't see it. We didn't see what the cops were doing.
I don't
think
Gen
Xers.
Not compared to what they see now.
No. Yeah, no, it was way different because we seen it with our own eyes. It was done right in front of us. Whether it was the protesters and the hoses in the 60s that we were taught about at one time. I don't know if they teach it now, but we were taught about it one time. I'm just talking about brutality of police. It was in our face.
No.
That's why we had the song. Remember, the Gen Xers had the song "Fuck the Police." Remember?
Yeah, but hold on. Even "Fuck the Police" came from NWA, a group that made albums about committing all sorts of crimes and shit, which is what I'm talking about.
And what we know now is there was only one of them that actually committed any crimes. What we know now, what we know about their documentary, their life, and everything, and even with the diss records, we knew who were the ones that were actually in the streets, and we knew the ones that
I don't know about all that. I didn't grow up thinking that the only person who was doing something wrong was Eazy-E and Ice Cube and Ren and Dre were all innocent. I didn't grow up thinking that. They made it all sound like they was involved in that shit.
They made it sound like that, but again, when they had their little drift, we all know who was who. Again,
once a movie came, once
you thought all of them were gangster or not, we end up finding out. But the whole thing of it is again, regardless of what, just like you said earlier, well, we found out that it was a lot of guys telling the truth that this happened. Yeah. And that's what it was. It was in our face.
But let me say it this way. Let me say it this way. Hold on. Very few folks when we were coming up that were claiming that the police was mistreating them were totally innocent people. Like, you didn't have people with business, people with jobs and all of that talking about it was generally people in the hood that was kind of up to no good that we're talking about that. You didn't have a Tyler Perry like you do now with somebody that's saying that they're getting mistreated. You just did, and you didn't have the video. So I'm not saying it wasn't happening. I'm just simply saying.
But listen though, Tim, when you have stuff like Mississippi burning, and what happened to the Freedom Riders because of the sheriff of the town.
Yeah, but that's before us. Just like you mentioned, the people getting hosed.
But what I'm saying is, Tim, you were saying that it wasn't in our face, and it was.
That's not in our face.
Okay, so we go to school. We go to school, right? And we get out of school, and we look on TV, and we see Rodney King getting beat down. Then, it's not an everyday occurrence, but we do see it. And for those people that were actually there for George Floyd, they lived it. They didn't just see it; they lived it.
Yeah, but here's the difference. Stick is that okay? Like I'm Gen X. By the time Rodney King got his ass beaten, I was a grown man already. I'm saying as a kid, the only stuff we saw, you mentioned people getting the fire hose and all of that from police. Yeah, but that was in the history books. All that stuff happened before I was born. In terms of my own childhood, let's say from the time I was in elementary school to the time I graduated from high school, there were virtually no well-known cases of cops mistreating people. Now they're happening every damn week. It's significantly different.
The reason it's happening every week is because it's more prominently being videotaped.
Right.
They have to wear.
That's what I said. I said the video camera made the difference.
I get it. But the main reason that we showed the police the respect that you was talking about earlier, because we already knew what could happen if you disrespect the police. We already knew that they was corrupt in a sense. Not all, but we knew it was a big chunk of them that were. Like, so we just can't mold past that, the stuff that we knew as kids. Like, yeah, we were taught respect, but we were also taught that in that respect, they can still just come at you because of the color of your skin. That's how it was. It wasn't the talk that they have now where they gonna unalive you and this, that, that, and the third if you don't keep your hands on the wheel, and you gotta do it like Charleston White. And oh yeah, he knows something because he got his hands out in the air and he's asking.
Yeah, here's the difference I'm making is that we came up knowing that it's not a good idea to disrespect the police. They're coming up now fearing that they could die at the hands of police. We didn't come up thinking that they might kill us. They're coming up now thinking that they may kill them.
Actually, we're the Gen Xers are the ones that's the parents right now.
Right.
We're the ones telling our kids the talk. So think about that, Tim.
Yeah, but we did not.
It's not just that.
We didn't receive that coming up as a kid.
Listen to what I'm saying, Tim. The Gen Xers are the one giving the talk right now. We're the ones telling them that they could lose their life. Why? Because it was possible then too. It's just now it's more prevalent that we see it. It's been happening.
Let me ask you this question. What part of the country you grew up in?
Okay, so I'm a military brat, right? But I would say 10 years of my life I spent in Louisville, Kentucky, because that's where I'm from. And then the rest of it, I would say 5 years, 6 years abroad, and then the rest, Tampa, Florida.
The reason why I asked you that, the reason why I asked you that, because somebody in the comments made a really good point. Dwight Dorsey says Tim did not live in the South. And that does resonate. The South treats us historically a lot worse than the North. Me growing up in Chicago and Milwaukee might be why my recollection is better than yours. When you said, now you're talking about Florida and Kentucky, yeah, maybe I'm wrong based on, because, you grew up in areas.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor, that was Louisville, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We talking about now Minnesota and all of that, it is what it is. That's Middle America, and we know that we're not prevalent out there. It's not majority of us out there in the Midwest, in the Rust Belt states and all of that. That's not where we're at.
Yeah.
We're mostly on the East Coast and the West Coast and the South.
Well,
East Coast
but I'm
versus
saying,
South.
but it does absolutely matter what part of the country. I mean, growing up in the 70s and 80s in Chicago was a lot different than growing up in the 70s and 80s in Kentucky or down in Florida, as you're talking about, because the history of those states is far worse than the history of Chicago. In fact, Chicago is one of the big cities that people fled the South to go to. So, I mean, because they were treating them better. So, yeah, I guess that might have something to do with why I almost have black privilege, so to speak, because I grew up in a better part of the country.
This is the thing, though, Tim.
Huh?
This is the thing, though, Tim. You got to realize, though, also, if you watch any Italian movie, there's always an Italian talking about, oh, I seen two black guys, they did it. In every movie, whether it's Casino, whether it's Goodfellas, whether it's The Godfather. In The Godfather, they said
it ain't even movies. It ain't even just movies. Didn't a woman drown all of her children in the 90s and tried to say a black man had took the vehicle with the kids in it? Susan Smith. Yeah, I mean,
she pew-pewed her child.
I think she just drowned him.
She pew-pewed that child, and then she tried to run him into a lake.
No, I think she just. I don't know. Did she actually shoot him? I thought she just drowned him.
Yeah, no. She pew-pewed the boy, killed him, unalived him, and then she pew-pewed the girl, but the girl ended up living. And she was faking the funk, going to see the little girl every day, acting like, she cared, but in actuality, she only did it to be with the man that said he didn't want no kids.
Jesus.
So, yeah, and this is the stuff that goes on. And okay, and also you were in a live with Black MAGA. I don't know why you give these guys.
I like talking to MAGA. What's wrong with talking to MAGA?
No, man, you need to go gangster grandma on their ass, man, and stop playing with them, because they like messing with you, and I don't too much. I don't care for that, Tim.
That ain't me.
I don't care for that, Tim. Yeah. But it's all good. I know you got a strong head. I know you got tough skin, and you just let it roll off for you.
Thank you.
I wish I was more like you, but I can't do it, Tim. I just be wanting to get it. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you one thing, though. You're mentioning Black MAGA. With all of the things that the left say about Trump, the controversial stuff, whether it's the police or DEI or civil rights provisions and things like that, Black MAGA is still strongly in the camp for Trump. Hang on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. They are definitely just gonna ride his coattail for whatever he says. It's just kind of like he has something shiny in their hand, and anywhere it goes, like a dog or something, he can run it into the wall, and they'll just headbutt themselves into the damn wall. This is. You sure
it ain't something that's actually redeemable or good about Trump? I mean, a lot of folks liked him, man. Maybe he ain't all that bad.
I'm gonna tell you, the only thing redeemable in his life is that $400 million plane. If he can get that money and say, I'm gonna split it up between every American, that'll be nice.
That would be nice.
Resell that plane and give it to the Americans.
Well, that ain't gonna happen, though. I can tell you right the back. He ain't giving that away.
But see, so he ain't got nothing redeemable then. I mean, he used Elon. He smashed Elon. I'm talking about, we all thought Elon was smashing him. He smashed Elon, and then it's like, you know what I'm saying, I don't want you no more.
I don't know. I don't know if he smashed Elon. I think Elon...
he put him on the White House whole stroll and all with the cars and everything. Had him like a little bitch-ass model out there. Come buy our cars. Yeah. All that. And when the shit didn't work, guess what? Hey, I think your time here needs to end.
Well, I don't know if it's... I don't see it the way you do. I think that Elon may have came to him and said behind the scenes, look, I gotta step away, or Elon may have even realized that his Tesla business was taking a hit. People were vandalizing the cars. His reputation is being trashed, and he might just realize, look, I've had enough fun with Doge, because all he was doing was really being cruel to federal employees anyway. So maybe he just decided, I've had my fun. Let me go back to being a businessman and take advantage of some of these contracts that Trump is helping me get. I don't think Trump smashed him at all. I think Elon has a big win by what he did. He gave Trump $350 million, and he's gotten his money back.
So how about this one? He didn't get his money back because his stock plummeted. He didn't get his money back because they was burning his Teslas. Hold on. He didn't get his money back because right now we got this South African thing going on and everybody's upset about it. He didn't get his money back because his post at Doge has ended and they've nominated somebody else as the whatever of Doge, the leader, whatever you want to call it. So Elon right now has taken a knee, just like Trump has taken a knee with these tariffs and postpones and all of this other stuff, just to get it out there to try to see how it's going to react. Once he gets the information and he sees that it's dumb as hell and he sees that the stock market is going to crash, the one that he loves so much, he does pauses and he says, we're just going to negotiate, but if they don't we're going to do this. China, we went down to 30.
Okay, here's why I disagree with you, and I agree with DJ D's in the comments who says Elon got every damn thing he wanted. You're pointing out his Tesla stock went down. I'm not arguing with that, but Elon is obviously a lot more than just Tesla. He's gotten a host of Starlink contracts since Trump took office. You know, with his Starlink, when Trump imposed all of those tariffs around the world, some of those countries were able to get rid of their tariffs completely by just purchasing a Starlink contract. Elon is making money on other businesses. So you're focused on Tesla, but that man has all kinds of other shit going on. And we don't know what's happening with crypto and all that stuff. SpaceX is another one.
And I get that because guess what? Donald Trump is making money. So he made what, $2 billion since he's been in office?
That we know of.
So
my guess is Trump made a lot more than $2 billion bucks.
So how about this one, Tim? With the Elon thing too, you said something earlier that I want to actually kind of like correct it a little bit. You ever heard of Ray Kroc?
No.
He is the founder of McDonald's. You know who actually formed McDonald's?
Who?
The McDonald brothers. So he did nothing. I'm talking about Elon now. He did nothing but the same thing that Ray Kroc did. He seen something that already had a formula, that was already working, that already had flavor, that was already good, something that actually stood out, because Kroc ain't a name that you want to,
Cal just said that. We know that Elon did not found all the companies that he's ahead of. But you're saying that Elon has not done well since he partnered with Trump, and I disagree with that. I think the man's making money hand over fist since he partnered with Trump.
Well, I'll just say this. At one point, if you want to say that, I'll concede. But I'll say this. He lost a lot of money in a short period of time. A lot of money. That Tesla stock went down. That SpaceX stock went down. A whole bunch of stuff went down. X, he ain't making money on X at all. So, say what you want to say, but the projections that I've been seeing, whether it's the magazines, whether it's the news, whether it's the actual stock market and the tickers on Fox, or whether it's ESPN, whoever it is, he even in sports right now, he would have low stock. He would be treated like Deion Sanders' son. They would pick his ass in the 6th round. He ain't got no stock right now.
I totally disagree with you on Elon. I think Elon's making a mint. I think Elon's involved in a whole lot of shit that you and I don't even know about. I mean, they essentially outsource They essentially outsource NASA to him. So who knows? I mean, the whole Mars thing, he's talking about sending somebody to Mars, and Trump is behind it. How much contract is he going to get out of that? Same thing with the what is the other one? Not only sending people to Mars, there's something else that Trump is talking about doing. You're talking about the Space Force. How much of that shit is going to be contracts for Elon Musk? That guy's making money everywhere. Off of us, by the way.
The whole thing with that is, Tim, whether they're making money, losing money, we will never know because they're going to hide it because this is the biggest grift ever. So at the end of the day, the number, whether it's up or down, yeah, they making money.
Yeah. Elon is in a position, as long as he got Trump on his side, that he really can't lose. I mean, even if his Tesla stock is dropping, who knows when Trump may suggest that all federal cars should be electric to cut back on fuel emissions, and we're going to go with Tesla. You don't know where he's going to pop up at. I mean, so Elon ain't gonna lose. I gotta move it on, but Elon ain't gonna move.
And George, I'm gonna just end it with this. George Floyd, he's a spiritual hero, and what I mean by that is we all seen how his life was took, and he was just a big. From what my understanding was, he was a big, lovable guy that was mistakenly.
All of them felonies.
The police.
All of them felonies. He was a big, lovable guy.
No. Listen. I just seen this little girl on TV. I'm gonna go by what she said. His record speaks for itself. He made a mistake. I can tell you right now, Tim, I've made mistakes.
You made a lot of mistakes. You made a lot of mistakes.
Listen what I'm saying. That still don't mean I'm a horrible guy.
He was making a mistake on the day he died, Stick.
Actually, he did make a mistake on the day he died. The bill was not counterfeit. Hold on. The bill was not counterfeit. It was an actual real bill. That's number one. Number two, when they pulled him over, he let him know, hey, check this out. I ain't did nothing, blah, 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 whatever. But Derek Chauvin had it in for him because they had already had an encounter with him, correct?
I heard that. But but you're still not excluding the clear resisting of arrest. That's not smart.
Hold on. How is he resisting arrest when he's on the ground with somebody's knee in his neck?
Because he was
where's the resistance? He's telling them I can't breathe.
You're trying to tell me you didn't see George Floyd resisting arrest at all?
Listen what I'm saying. Once he got on the ground with his face on the ground and the man had his knee in his neck, at what time did he wiggle and kick and bite and spit?
There's a lot before he got on the ground. He was resisting arrest. The reason he's on the ground, the reason he's on the ground is because he was resisting arrest.
He's resisting arrest by saying I didn't do nothing with his hands.
He was already Stick. He was already in the car. He was already in the car. He got taken out of the car and put on the ground because he was resisting arrest. You're trying to tell me the man wasn't resisting arrest?
Hold on. You just said something. You said he was in the car.
Right.
I don't know how you be in the car resisting arrest, but you're in the car. Then you take them out the car, put your knee on their neck. They ain't moving. They're breathless, lifeless, and you're saying that he's resisting arrest.
Let me ask you. Let me make sure I get clarity from you. Are you saying the day George Floyd lost his life, he was not resisting arrest? Is that what you're telling me?
What I'm saying is, if you're telling the story the way you're telling the story,
no, I'm asking you.
You're telling me he's already in the car. Telling me he's already in the car.
Disregard my story. I'm asking you from your own observation. Was he resisting arrest on the day he died?
From what I've seen, they called it he was resisting arrest when he was saying he didn't do anything, when they actually pulled him or whatever you want to call it. And then when they actually took him out of the vehicle, only thing he was doing was leaning forward. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't swinging. He wasn't kicking. He wasn't spitting. So at the end of the day, you said
forget what I said. Take my statement out of it. I'm just trying to get from you based on what you've seen. Was he take away what I said?
What you said. Then I'll say he was in the car. Whether he was saying I didn't do anything, the bill ain't fake, I don't know what y'all talking about. Bliss. Okay, now I'm tired of you talking. I pull you out of the car. And now you're resisting arrest again, even though I just had you in the car.
Okay, so yes or no? Was he resisting? Yes or no? Based on what you're seeing.
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no. I'm gonna be the blagger that's supposed to be the blagger for the actual black folks. Make America great right now. Goddamn, I don't know. But at the end of the day, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. Okay. I'm tired of hearing he's resisting, and then they do what they do.
Yeah,
I know he wasn't resisting, because guess what? If he was resisting, He wouldn't have been on his neck. He wouldn't have, the Derek Chauvin wouldn't have been on his neck, and he would still be here if he was resisting, unless they unalive him by the pew-pew.
Okay. I gotta tend to disagree. I'm looking to see what I can find. I do gotta move it on, but I'll play this before we end the conversation. This is Floyd here. This is the actual footage of the arrest. He's falling on the ground. Now, I wish I could hear
the curb. You see the curb? He fell on the curb.
Yeah.
His foot came off the curb.
Okay.
Okay. They closed the door. They closed the door. He can be taken to the jail. What is going on?
He's not in the car yet.
See, this is what I'm saying.
He's not in the car. What do you mean?
They closed the door.
I believe he pushed the door closed.
Rewind it, please.
Well, the problem with this is there's no audio. I wish there was some audio to it. Now, you see him there.
Okay, see the curb?
Yeah.
See him already stumbling because his pants is... See? Boom, that's the curb.
Okay, the cops didn't do that.
That's the curb.
Yeah, the cops didn't do that, though.
Yeah, that's the curb. That's what I was saying.
Okay, he's hopping up and down. I wish I could hear what he was saying because I think he's yelling he can't breathe or he's claustrophobic or some shit.
Okay, and he's doing what? He's not kicking. He's not swinging. What is he doing?
He's pushing back. He's struggling.
Okay.
Now they're going through his pockets now.
Yeah, it looked like a search to me.
He's falling to the ground. I mean, he is struggling. He's trying to... He's falling to the ground.
He's getting searched.
No, why the hell are you falling to the ground? Because they're going through your pockets. That makes you want to fall to the ground? They literally holding the man up. He's trying to fall.
Well, maybe he is trying to fall.
He's resisting arrest.
But the whole point I'm trying to make is where did the violence come from that you had to put a kneel on his knee? Nothing that I see calls for that.
I'm not defending the knee on the neck. I'm going against your claim that he wasn't resisting arrest, though. I think he clearly was resisting arrest.
Me personally, call it what you want to call it. I really don't think that he was giving them that much of a problem. Again, where he had to lose his life. The bill was real. So in actuality, that's what the call was about. And the bill was real. So again, he lost his life over nothing.
Yeah, you get no argument. You get no argument from me on that. I'm just simply saying, if he had not resisted arrest, he probably would still be here, even if the arrest was improper. Even if he didn't deserve to be arrested at all. If he had not resisted, he'd still be alive.
That's the cop out, Tim. And that's that talk that we gotta have to tell our kids right now. You don't really have to be doing anything, son, daughter. You could just be, the color of your skin could be wrong in their eyes, and they could come at you in that way. And that's the same. He's actually, if he would be, he's still a Gen Xer regardless. But he would probably have to tell his daughter that same thing. What happened to him? Okay. And this is why we gotta tell our kids that.
Well, I'm going to tell you right away, because I said the same damn thing with Ashley Babbitt as well. You can't just disobey a cop's instructions, even if you disagree with them. And because a lot of folks who believe that George Floyd got what he... No, I'm telling you can't disagree.
I'm gangster grandma right now. Hell no. Ashley Babbitt has never been told no in her fucking life. Stop that, Tim.
Well,
you know it and I know it. That's why when the cop pointed the gun at her ass and told her don't do it, she did the shit any damn way. White privilege. So she ain't the same, and she ain't gonna never be taught that, because nobody in their right mind would have thought that would have happened to this young white lady. Stop that, Tim.
Well, she's currently in a better place now, enjoying some loving with George Floyd. I gotta move it on. Thank you for coming through.
Yeah, I'm just glad it wasn't me or mine.
All right, appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. I don't want to play this clip once again because I've never heard that he was not resisting arrest. And you heard my last caller say that. I was under the impression he absolutely was resisting arrest.
8 p.m. on May 25th, and the security cameras of this local restaurant are rolling. The indicated time is about 20 minutes past. A blue Mercedes has been parked curbside on East 38th Street for several minutes. We do not have footage showing when it arrived. George Floyd is in the driver's seat. A police car pulls up in front of this local convenience store and 2 officers walk in. Minneapolis police said in a statement their officers responded to a report of a forgery in progress, meaning someone was trying to use counterfeit money in a store. A few minutes later, the officers crossed the street and approached the vehicle. The police said they found the suspect in his car. The first officer approaches the driver while his partner walks around to the passenger side. The interaction between the officer and Floyd can't clearly be seen from this angle, but the driver of this black vehicle filmed part of it on his phone. The officer struggles to get Floyd out of the car. His colleague walks over to help him put the handcuffs on. The black car pulls away and drives off after a few minutes. Floyd falls briefly to the ground. The officer lifts him back up before leading him towards the sidewalk where he directs Floyd to sit on the ground. A park police car shows up to the scene. Redacted body cam footage from that new officer was released by the park police chief. The officer exits the car to see.
I don't like that they redacted it. Why the hell would you? I mean, that's kind of questionable.
His 2 colleagues questioning Floyd and 2 people who were just in the car. A few minutes later, the officer helps Floyd up off the ground. The video has no sound, so we don't know what was said between the 2 officers and Floyd in this moment. They walk him across the street back towards their squad car. Floyd falls to the ground once more. Police originally said they noticed Floyd going into medical distress and called an ambulance to the scene.
I will say real quick, because I've never seen this, this does add a little bit of meat to folks who suggest that he had other things that might have caused him to go into duress. I mean, he is falling and shit. And it's not in a resistive sort of way. He does look like something might be wrong with him, because folks are saying, fentanyl or whatever. I mean, he is falling and acting kind of weird in addition to resisting arrest.
Another police car pulls up, obstructing our view from this angle and making it hard to clearly see what unfolded in the next 4 minutes between the officers and Floyd. We do see Officer Chauvin pull up to the scene with his colleague, and behind the vehicle's open door, we can make out what seems to be a struggle. Whatever was happening between Floyd and the officers at that very moment caught the attention of this passerby who stops to watch. 2 minutes later, a witness standing on Chicago Avenue captures part of the scene unfolding behind the squad car. One officer looks over as 3 of his colleagues restrain Floyd, who is lying face down on the ground in handcuffs. We don't know how Floyd ended up on the ground. One officer is pressing his knee into Floyd's neck, which we see clearly in this video, taken only seconds later by another witness standing in front of the grocery store. She captured the next 10 minutes of his deadly arrest up until he is taken away in an ambulance.
You know something? I've never seen that, and I'll start taking some callers right away. But I think there's some legitimate argument to be made that there was something else wrong with that dude, other than just being asphyxiated. It definitely looked like at the very least he was high or on something. Now, none of that explains or excuses sitting on him for 9 minutes. Like I said before, regardless of what took his life, sitting on him for 9 minutes is not the proper procedure to deal with it. You don't show up to somebody who is overdosing on narcotics or, going through breathing problems due to COVID or whatever other ailment, and you just sit on the dude for 9 minutes. That's inexcusable no matter what took his life. Now, I believe it was the knee from the cop that took his life. I believe Derek Chauvin is where he belonged, but I am saying this to entertain other theories that Derek Chauvin didn't take his life, something else did. Well, if something else did, Derek Chauvin's actions are still inappropriate for encountering somebody that's going through any of that stuff. I mean, and as I said in the video, you see Floyd constantly falling and shit like that. So if he truly is going through some type of medical emergency due to narcotics or something else, then the procedure from Derek Chauvin is grossly inappropriate at best. 9 minutes? I mean, regardless, like I said, regardless of why he lost his life, there's no denying he sat on the guy for a lengthy period of time. You can argue it was on his shoulder, wasn't on his neck, or none of that. None of that is the proper way to address somebody that's going through some sort of medical emergency. So Derek Chauvin didn't handle it right, no matter what way you come up with, no matter what you come up with. And I see in the comments, the strange shit is people act like George Floyd was the first time police killed an unarmed black man. The fuck? That's like knowing what the McDonald's arches look like. No, I don't think anybody thinks that George Floyd's. I mean, after seeing what happened to Rodney King, I mean, you can name everybody. Breonna's probably after George Floyd, I'm thinking. But I mean, there was a list of names. You know, everybody. I mean, you could just say her names, the Sandra Bland's. I mean, there's a host of them. The Tamir Rice's. I mean, there's a host of folks that I can just think of off the top of my head. In fact, there was a guy. Maybe somebody can let me know. But there was a guy in, I believe it was in one of the Carolinas, who was an attempt was being made to arrest him, I believe, for owing back child support. Now, he's overweight. He was a big guy. Got out of the car after being pulled over and just started running from police. Police just stands there calmly, pulls out a firearm and puts 7 rounds in his back. A neighbor was filming it over a fence or something like that. I'm sure some of you folks have seen it. That's a pretty old video. That's before George Floyd. So I want to say that people knew cops were doing that. I can't think of the actual details to the story, but I've seen the video many times. The cop just stood there and put 7 rounds in the guy's back. The guy got out of the car, just took off running. Cop didn't pursue him at all. Just stood there and calmly put a bunch of rounds in his back, walked up to him, and did not realize he was being filmed. Did not realize some neighbor in a different yard, because you can see a fence right there, some neighbor across was filming it. But he just stood there and calmly shot the guy like 7 times, dropped him, calmly walked up to the guy and put him in handcuffs. So looking at the comments here, if you're a white supremacist and you want me to uphold the law, you can't tell me the judge didn't find Derek guilty. Fair enough. How many of those you named were following the law when the occurrences happened? And that's the problem. Bill Knott says how many folks who lost their lives to police were actually following the law when they lost their lives. That's the problem, is that the police know that people think that way. As long as I can show you that this person was bad, this person was a criminal, you're likely to overlook what I did to him. So the moment something happens, the first thing they do is try to dirty up the person. Even the Trayvon Martins, who had no criminal history at all, well, he was smoking marijuana and was truant from school. Because they know, as what he said, well, how many of them was violating the law? Violating the law is not a death sentence. Violating the law doesn't mean you should lose your life. I mean, Sandra Bland, in fact, was just refusing to get out of the car when she lost her life. That was it. She got pulled over and was asking questions. The cops said, "Can you step out of the car?" She refused to do it. He yanked her out of the car, and somehow she ended up at the police station dead. So, I mean, just simply not following the law is not a reason to kill somebody. Let me go back to the box. Continuing on, MAGA reacts. Good evening. Welcome to the program. The cop didn't kill him. The drugs did. Set the cop free. Now, you're not gonna, like I said, even if you believe drugs took out George Floyd, that's not the way you address somebody is overdosing, which is what Derek Chauvin did. Would still be, even if he encountered Amy Winehouse like that, somebody we know that passed away from drugs. You don't just sit on her for 9 minutes. MAGA reacts. Good evening.
Hey, Tim, why don't you look up the full body cam footage?
Okay.
Because I just watched it, and it actually cleared up a lot of stuff.
Well, I don't want to run. I don't want to run the whole video on the show, but tell me what it cleared up for you.
Well, originally I thought he was in the back of the car, and he said he couldn't breathe, and they took him out because he couldn't breathe. But that's not what happened. What happened is he was resisting the whole time. He didn't want to go into the cop car. They were shoving him into the cop car. Like, they were like 3-4 of them trying to get him in the cop car. Mm-hmm. And one genius decided to go to the other side to pull while like the other 3 were shoving. And when the other guy went to the other side to pull, Eventually, they overpowered George, but George kept going and fucking pushed his way out the other side.
Hang on, hold on 1 second. We'll continue. Hold on, I'm gonna see something.
God dang, man. Man, I got shot the same way as I was before.
Okay, well, when I say let me see your hands, you put your fucking hands up.
I'm so sorry, officer.
You got them?
Man, dang, man.
Put your hands on top of your head.
Man, officer. Last time I got shot like that, I was
Hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Step out of the vehicle and step away from me, all right? Step out and face away. Step out and face away.
Please don't shoot me. Please, man.
I'm not going to shoot you. Step out and face away.
I'm going to get out of eye, man. Please don't shoot me, man.
I'm not shooting you, man.
Please, man. I just lost my mom, man.
Right off the bat, he ain't cooperating, but I do want to, and I see the TikTok doesn't like this, but he's not cooperating.
Step out and face away.
So sorry.
Step out and face away.
Please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer. Please. Don't shoot me, man.
Step out and face away.
Can you not shoot me, man?
I'm not shooting. Step out and face away.
Okay. Please, man. Please. I didn't know, man.
Get out of the car.
I didn't know, Mr. Officer. I didn't know.
Right now.
I'm not going to go through the whole video, but I think I don't think it's up for debate whether he was resistant or not. He clearly was not cooperating.
Skip to 7 minutes, 39 seconds.
I don't think it's even up for debate whether he was resistant or not. He clearly was.
Thank you. God, man. I didn't know all this was going to happen, man. Please, man. I just want my hand free. I don't want to do none of y'all, man. Nothing.
You got it?
I'm listening. And I understand that people do stuff and y'all know me. Okay. Why are you having trouble walking? Because that was my client.
I'll roll the windows down, okay?
Please, man. Please don't do that. Take a seat. I'm going in, Mr. Officer. I'm going in. No, you're not. I gotta go in. Take a seat.
Grab a seat.
Mind, I don't believe me, Mr. Officer. Take a seat. I'm not that kind of guy. Man. Take a seat. Y'all, I'm gonna die here. Take a seat. I'm gonna die, man. You need to take a seat right now. And I just had COVID, man.
All right, I just said there's no denying his resistant arrest. I mean, he's not like, I guess we'd say he's not violently, but I mean, he's resisting. There's no denying that's happening.
It gets worse.
Yeah, I don't want to play it all, but the idea that he didn't resist arrest is clearly wrong. I mean, and I do believe that if he had simply cooperated, I mean, whether the arrest was legit or not, because some say that there was never evidence presented that he was passing a fake piece of currency at all. But whether the arrest was legit or not, if he had cooperated, I do believe he would have been alive still. I don't think they would have killed him. And I don't think he deserved to die either. I don't think his resisting arrest legitimizes why he lost his life. I think that was wrong, and I think Derek Chauvin deserved to be punished for that. But I do believe had he just cooperated, he'd be still around.
Tim, I'm just trying to show you how he ended up on the floor. He literally, if you skip another minute.
I don't want to see that. I mean, I get it. I don't think there's any reason to doubt you at this point, because he's clearly he was in the car and he was constantly fighting when he was in the car. If I'm correct, just like you said, they yanked him out from the other side. I've seen the actual video. He's resisting the whole time.
No, it's not that they yanked him out the other side. He shoved his way through to the other side and ended up on the floor from the looks of it.
Yeah. But what about the notion that Chauvin is innocent and he should be pardoned and let out?
I mean, let's put it like this. How many people die of fentanyl every day? A lot, right?
Yeah.
How many people die from being, pushed down on the floor and I guess a knee to their neck?
Well, but how many people get sat on for 9 minutes at a time?
I mean,
I've never seen one. I've never seen. I've had some big chicks ride me, and it didn't take 9 fucking minutes. How many people get sat on for 9 straight minutes?
Listen, you gotta ask all those people that do jiu-jitsu. That's all they do is choke each other out, and it's like they say it's safer than boxing.
9 minutes? Where have you seen somebody get choked out for 9 straight minutes? That's more than a UFC round. Who gets choked out for 9 minutes straight?
Listen, I understand. I'm not trying to defend it, but I know for a fact that more people die from fentanyl every fucking day.
Because more people,
a large amount of fentanyl.
Yeah, because more people use that drug than sit on the ground and let somebody sit on them for 9 minutes. You have very little data sample to show people surviving from 9 minutes being pinned. It doesn't happen very often.
I mean, there's people that recreated it and they showed that it wouldn't kill you. Or at least
and there are people who recreated it and showed you that it did.
He wouldn't have died. If that was Rodney King, I mean, Rodney King wished that's all they did to him was, sit on his neck for like a couple of minutes. Because, he was sober, or, he wasn't on fentanyl, so he would have survived.
I can't speak to, but Rodney King was drunk when it caught up to him too, and sitting on him for 9 minutes may have taken his life as well. I mean, if you get somebody that's inebriated and you respond by pinning them down for 9 minutes, who knows how many people might perish? I mean, what Derek Chauvin did is inappropriate for virtually all arrests. There's no legitimate reason to sit on somebody that long.
No, like I said, I'm not trying to defend him too much, but now that I see this part of the video and how hard they fought to get him in the car and him shoving his way out, it explains his actions a little bit more. But, I mean, he could have been more careful, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Derek Chauvin, 19 years on the force, there's no way in hell he thought what he was doing was right. I mean, even if you want to suggest he didn't take Floyd's life.
But you just said it. How often do people die of this? How did he know this was going to kill him? Because, he doesn't have people, he has no examples of someone dying because of this before him.
I don't know if he does. I don't know if he
is now, but he probably thought it was completely harmless at the time.
No, I don't know if he does or does not have examples, but I doubt he has many examples of cops sitting on suspects for 9 straight minutes. I doubt if Derek Chauvin, because in court, he didn't present any evidence to suggest, well, my partner does that all the time. He didn't present any evidence to suggest that it is normal police procedure to sit on suspects for 9 minutes at a time. Not one, he didn't present any other cases of that.
No, but again, it's also how you do it. You could set someone's neck and not hurt them at all, or you could kill them. There's a lot more factors, and honestly, I know we have I don't know. Again, I'm not a fucking forensic scientist here. I know others say that. I don't know. I gotta look up if there was any damage to his neck. I don't think there was any damage to his neck.
I don't care if he sat on his big toe. There is no police procedure that tells you just sit on the guy and don't move for 9 minutes. I don't care if he didn't sit on his neck, shoulder, back, leg, thigh, whatever. There is no police training that says just sit on the person and pause for 9 minutes straight.
No, I'll give you that, but
yeah. So he was wrong.
Nothing informed Derek that was going to kill him.
I mean, I guess to some degree,
hindsight. So we're looking back. Obviously, it's awful, but from his point of view, not knowing that it was going to kill him, it was probably a normal takedown for him.
And then you're going to do that while the person is actually yelling out they can't breathe. So you're just ignoring that part. The cop is just ignoring that.
He was crying wolf the entire time.
That's fine.
In a way.
But he's crying wolf the entire time. Now I'm gonna step on George Floyd's side and say that maybe while having this arrest, he was going through an anxiety attack, which doesn't exclude you from being arrested, but you don't want to sit on somebody that's dealing with that. If you're hyperventilating or something like that, sitting on a guy for 9 minutes is not going to be very helpful to that.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But who doesn't have an anxiety attack while getting arrested by cops?
Well, lots of people do, but you don't sit on them for 9 minutes. That's not going to help that.
I understand. Again, I'm not trying to defend this guy. I'm just giving you my little point of view from what I've seen.
Let me ask it to you this way. Do you believe, based on what you saw, do you believe Derek Chauvin did anything wrong?
Like I said, I always said he's guilty of manslaughter. I don't think he's guilty of murder or anything beyond manslaughter.
So you do think he at least should have done some time for manslaughter then?
100%.
All right, okay. You may be a little bit less, yeah, you may be a little less harsh on him than I am, but you do believe he did something wrong then.
If anything, I'm being tough on him, giving him manslaughter. Because, from what I remember, he was trained in doing this procedure. Just
9 minutes?
What do you want me to say? That's why I said he's guilty of manslaughter.
Okay, all right. You said he was trained. Yeah, you said he was trained to do this procedure. I'm like, and the Minnesota police quickly came forward like, you didn't learn that shit from us. I mean, they like, no, we ain't telling him to do nothing like that.
I remember that was part of his defense. That was part of his training, and they quickly stopped doing that. So, because even that guy in New York, the one that's selling loose cigarettes, I mean, he was also a big guy, and they didn't sit on his neck for 9 minutes. They handcuffed him in a weird way, and he also died from suffocation.
Well, they put him in a rear naked choke, so it's not, you can't even argue whether it was on his shoulder or his back versus his neck. He literally put dude in a rear naked choke, and that guy was really overweight. So unlike Floyd, who was fairly muscular, I mean, if the guy's already obese, you start restricting breathing, the problems are going to accumulate faster with that. I mean, they put him in a rear naked choke. So I don't know how long he had the guy in a rear naked choke, but how long does it really take? I mean, you watch a UFC fight, if you don't tap out, you're not going to get anywhere near 9 minutes. You'd be lucky to get 90 seconds. It's quick. It's really quick.
Again, we have hindsight, so yeah, we both could say that now. But back then, we thought choking someone out was better than shooting them. Every time they shot somebody, it's like, why don't they just choke them out or something else or tase them? But
who have you ever heard suggest choking somebody out as opposed to shooting them?
Anybody. After every cop shooting, they're like, why don't they just shoot him in the leg, or why don't they freaking do something else? Like choke them out or tase them.
I've heard of shooting them in the leg, but if you got to shoot somebody, the last thing you want to do is get close enough to try to choke them. You're putting yourself in danger.
I'm just, everyone's a critic after the fact. You're not there, in the shoes of the guy.
Well, I mean, listen.
That's the problem with the left. They try to debate everything with hindsight. You gotta remember how it was the day of back then, not what you know today.
Well, I don't listen.
January 6th, we have all this knowledge from today that they didn't have back then.
I don't think you gotta actually be there to see somebody somebody's being sat on for 9 minutes. Do you really need to be there and see what happened? I mean, that's wrong under any circumstance. 9 minutes? The only way I'm going to be okay with you sitting on somebody for 9 minutes is it's got to look like you're riding a bucking bull, where that person is fighting the whole time. And clearly Floyd was not moving for most of that 9 minutes. I mean, other than saying he can't breathe, there was no bucking or movement from that guy for the majority of that 9 minutes. So at some point, you got to get off the damn guy.
No, I'm with you, but on the other hand, they also didn't have a time clock about them. He wasn't.
It doesn't matter. If you're sitting on him to subdue him, once he's subdued, get the hell up off of him. Most of the time, you're sitting on a man, he's not moving or struggling at all. Even if you sat on me and you were holding me down, you can still see him trying to get up. There's clearly no movement from this dude at all for most of that 9 minutes. At what point do you check on the guy and get the hell up?
Like I said, with hindsight, it's clear that what he should have done, but we weren't there. We don't know if it's not something distracted him.
You don't need to be there. I don't think you need to be there. You can see he's sitting on a motionless dude for most of the time he's sitting on a guy. And not only that, but it was other officers on other parts of his body too. Like, how many are you? I mean, all of you guys need to sit on this man for that long? I mean, he was resisting arrest. We're agreeing with that, but he wasn't anywhere near violent enough to justify multiple people sitting on him for that long. There's just the amount of resistance he put up was nowhere near that great to justify that.
Yeah, but you also stopped the video before his most aggressive part.
Yeah, but there's nothing you're going to show me that's going to take away the fact that we saw him there being sat on for 9 minutes, and most of that he is not moving or struggling.
No, I mean, again, that's why I say he deserves manslaughter. You know, he was careless, and George Floyd died under his watch. So he
So,
was
so
responsible for that whole
all right,
situation.
but before I let you go, Your Honor, Judge MAGA reacts. Now that you've convicted him of manslaughter, what's the sentence?
5 years, 5 to 10.
5 to 10. You probably would have stopped the rioting. I mean, it's light in my opinion, but I mean, listen, you're putting a free man in prison for 5 to 10 years. That ain't exactly something he's going to jump up and down and cheer about. That is still, if you ain't never been to prison, that's a long time to be in prison. And there's no guarantee you're going to get out because Derek Chauvin's already been stabbed up a bunch of times. So I guess, I think you're being light on him, but some of these motherfuckers are saying he should have never been to jail, should have never went to jail in the first place. So I'd rather have what you're saying than what a lot of Trump supporters are saying. But MAGA reacts. Thanks for coming through,
I
man.
got 2 quick comments. The last guy that says we should sell the airplane and pass out the money.
Yes.
If he sold the airplane, everybody would get $1.70. When you take 400 million divided by 340 million Americans, it's $1.70 a person.
Yeah, but when you but instead of getting $1.70, how much are they paying out in terms of how much we got to spend to make that plane flight worthy? So they may be all a negative $1.70 now. I'd rather have $1.70 than give it up.
We'll find out. And then the other thing,
I don't think you will. I don't think they're going to be honest about that. You think they're going to be honest and tell you how many millions of dollars they had to spend to make that plane flight worthy? They're not going to tell you. When it comes to Trump, one thing is apparent. Anytime he gives you numbers on something, expect those numbers to be exaggerated to his advantage. He'll tell you that shit was done for $1 million. I mean, expect that. Give you the last word.
And then the McDonald's thing, the guy was saying how this other guy, was not the founder of McDonald's. But if you know the story, if it was up to the McDonald's brothers, it would only be like 2 or 3 McDonald's. That guy is the reason we have 41,000 McDonald's in the world. And same thing with Elon. Like, he might have not been there on day one, but he took Tesla from zero.
Yeah, but he took the title of founder?
Yes, he did.
You think that's okay?
I mean, without him, there would be no McDonald's.
Okay,
McDonald's have fast food.
All right.
There'd probably be no fast food.
He didn't found it, MAGA. He is not the founder. He is somebody that took. That's like Michael Jordan said, without him, there would be no NBA. Yeah, you took it to a whole nother level, but the damn sport existed before you. You're not the founder.
No, but there would be no McDonald's without him. Just because he wasn't there on day one, like, if you took him out the picture, you would have not known.
What is a founder to you? What does that term mean to you?
I mean, someone that was there at the beginning. You don't have to be there on day one, but, you have to be one of the reasons the company is what it is.
All right, so Run DMC founded rap. I got to move it on. They were there at the beginning. Appreciate it. All right, I don't agree with that. Either you started the company or you didn't. They were at the beginning, huh? So he has AIDS. What are you saying there, Benji? Put him in the car, tried to get him out the other side. What makes you think he would have done it if Derek didn't have his knee on his chest? I don't look, like I said, you can see Derek Chauvin. And by the way, you're saying Derek knee on his chest. There are other cops that were sitting on George Floyd as well. Like, Derek Chauvin was not the only one. I'm simply saying that if you are resisting arrest, even with 3 or 4 people on you, you can still see that you're trying to get up. Parts of your body is twitching, arms, fingers. People can still tell that you're trying to get up, even though you got a bunch of men on your back. I'm saying if you look at the video footage of George Floyd, it's pretty clear he was not resisting for the duration, almost the whole duration of that 9 minutes, other than yelling out he can't breathe. But in terms of physically putting force, he was not fighting. He was not fighting. And then he eventually stopped even saying, I can't breathe. And he still sat on his back. He was still sitting on him. I'm just simply saying at some point you have a duty to check on the person you're sitting on. And he didn't do that. And in fact, if you watch the video, it took the arrival of the paramedics to ask Derek Chauvin if you could get off him so we can look at him. He was still on him when the paramedics arrived. He was just not going to get up. There's no justification for that. You're not gonna explain that away. The paramedics felt safe with the guy. I mean, like, could you get off him so we can check him? So yeah, I don't think you can explain all of that away. And that's assuming that George Floyd lost his life to whatever you want to fill in the blank and say he lost his life of. You can't just sit on a guy indefinitely. You just can't do that. The body doesn't have a chance in a fight or flight in a situation like this. You can't charge yourself now white wearing that badge, huh? All right, moving on. By the way, tap the screen. Go ahead and get the likes on up to about 55,000. We take the next caller. If he would have died getting shot, they still would claim fentanyl. TBH sticky. Maybe so. Maybe so. I can't even, something I can't even say because it's some of the, like I said, folks are defending 9 minutes on the neck, and I don't understand why. I mean, at some point, like I stated, you have a duty to check on the man you're sitting on. You just can't sit there indefinitely. Floyd shouldn't have been out of prison. Different argument. Just because somebody got released early or you disagree with the judge did, don't give you an excuse to kill the person. That's completely irrelevant to this conversation. You got a problem with him getting out early, taking it. I mean, how many folks believe that some of the January 6th folks should not have been out? That don't mean you can go and take their lives. In fact, several of those folks that got out from January 6th, pardoned by Trump, have went on to commit additional felonies. The Indiana police had to kill one of them because he was getting in a shootout with him. So, I mean, that happens, but you can't go out and go Derek Chauvin on somebody because you think they should still be locked up. Sticky, good evening.
Hey, what's going on? This is Stick the Ruler.
Oh, okay.
I'm just checking you out. I got the dual thing going on. I got you on Instagram and I have you on TikTok.
Appreciate the support.
Yeah, I got you. I got you, Tim. Hey, I just wanted to say real quick that regardless, just like you said, he should have came to that man's aid. And again, he's a heavenly hero, a spiritual hero, or anything on that level, because it made everybody stand up for what's right, Tim.
Are you sure about that? I think there's a lot of folks that
I'm not. When I say everybody, I don't include the people who are against it. I'll just say it that way. I'm just including the folks that were asleep on the melanated side, and they actually got to see that this is for real. Now, whether they got brainwashed later on or whitewashed later on, or what happened and fentanyl and all this other good stuff that they want to say could have been a determining factor.
Right.
It could have been. But at the end of the day, like you said, 9 minutes, that's excessive.
Yeah, like I said, I don't, it doesn't matter what he was doing. At some point, you have a duty to check on the suspect you're sitting on. And if the paramedics got to ask you to get off of him, you clearly were never going to check on this guy. I mean, so.
You never was. And it's sad that, instead of saying, because I'm in different lives, and I'm in relationship lives and all sorts of different lives, right? And everything is accountability. No matter what live you go in, whether it's left, right, male, female, each person on both sides wants somebody to take accountability.
Right.
That's majority of the time what the argument is about. And in this case, they don't want any accountability for those who are against Derek Chauvin to be in jail or prison. Yeah. With the exception of the guy you just had on to say manslaughter, right? But I mean, what is manslaughter? Is manslaughter you knowing that this guy ain't breathing?
Well, I don't listen. But listen, even though I think MAGA reacts manslaughter charge was a bit light, I don't think it's terrible, because manslaughter is essentially taking somebody's life that you didn't intend to. I don't believe Derek Chauvin was trying to kill him, but his actions were so negligent that it led to it happening. I don't think manslaughter is a bad charge. I think he should get more than 5 years behind bars, but I don't think manslaughter is a bad charge.
I'm gonna say it like this, Tim. I can squish an ant and say, well, I wasn't trying to kill it.
You think Derek Chauvin was actually trying to take his life?
Well, all I'm saying is he was trying to do bodily harm. Now, whether that bodily harm took his life or not, he did it.
Then that's kind of like, that's kind of like manslaughter. That's kind of like manslaughter.
Yeah, but it's different because guess what? In the commission of a crime, if somebody loses their life, does that person get hit with manslaughter, or do they get hit with a different charge?
That's a good question. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Because guess what? Everybody up and down the line is guilty. The people who are committing the crime, somebody loses their life, they get that charge too.
And I see in the comments, MAGA Reacts makes a good point. He says, my friend's son got manslaughter for a DUI death and got 5 years out in 2.5. So in other words, you did something that's negligent. Just like if you go and drink and drive, you're not trying to take a life, but it's negligent. It could lead to one. I don't think Derek Chauvin was trying. I mean, because there's people all around he's arguing with. People are obviously feminine. I don't think there's no way in hell he would have tried to take the man's life in front of all those people.
Guess what, Tim? Y'all was talking about UFC and MAGA Reacts was talking about, they say that jiu-jitsu and choking somebody out is safer. It's safer when you can do this and you let me go.
Yeah, you can tap out, yeah. I know, like I said,
you let me go. I tell you I can't breathe. You let me go.
Yeah, I don't think any of us, me, you, or even MAGA Reacts, believe that Derek Chauvin is 100% innocent. It's just he has a belief that, listen, George Floyd contributed a little bit more to his own death than you or I may think, which is why he's saying manslaughter. But he doesn't think the guy's 100% innocent.
I mean, at the end of the day, I hear him. But at the end of the day, too, remember, when people break the law, they want them to get the full extent of the law. That's what MAGAs say. They want people to actually, unless it's Donald Trump. This is not Trump. This is not Trump. Yeah. So let him go. Let him do his time. He got found guilty of whatever he got found guilty of. Let it go. Don't make no excuses. He's already found guilty.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you. I got to move it on. Before I move it on, let me ask you this. What do you think are the chances, a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's likely to happen, what do you think are the chances the Trump administration will give Derek Chauvin a pardon?
That's a good one, Tim.
Even though it does not release him from the state charges, but, just to show that you are in unison with him. You're united with him. What are the chances, scale of 1 to 10, that he'll give? And folks in the comments, scale of 1 to 10, folks who are watching, what do you think? What are the chances that the Trump administration will pardon Derek Chauvin? It's showing solidarity is the word I'm looking for. Even though you might not get him out of prison, you will be showing solidarity. Trump claims to be in solidarity with law enforcement. What do you think?
Okay, so how about this? Whatever his approval rating is right now, that's the chance.
So that's pretty low.
Well, then that's the chance.
All right. Okay.
That's the chance. Whatever his approval rating is the chance that he's going to be able to talk to that governor. And
No, wait a minute. Derek Chauvin is dealing with state charges and federal charges. I'm saying that Trump can pardon Derek. Now, he's not going to get him free because Tim Walz of Minnesota ain't going to agree with that. But he could show solidarity and just pardon him for the federal charges. That's what I'm asking.
And solidarity would be if they have a Republican governor, which I don't know if they do or they don't.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I don't think this ain't got nothing to do with their governor.
I do. You're just talking about the federal charges.
Yeah.
For Trump.
What are the chances he's going to give him a federal pardon is what I'm asking you.
The chances of him getting the federal pardon is, like I said, his approval rating.
Okay.
Whatever his approval rating
so pretty
is,
low.
45,
pretty
40%,
low.
40%, that's the chance I give him. But I will also say this. Remember who we're dealing with. We're dealing with the Republican Party. It doesn't matter how wrong it is. If Trump says he wants it done, and that's why I added in the Republican governor. Because remember, right now, they're together. I don't care Who does what? I don't care how many times Marjorie Taylor Greene make herself look dumb as shit. I don't care how many times Marco Rubio sticks his foot in his mouth. I don't care how many times J.D. Vance get caught putting eyeliner on. I don't care how many times Donald Trump done cheated on his wives. One thing they all are doing is being in solidarity and saying, oh, nothing to see here, nothing to see here.
But wasn't liberals not doing the same damn thing when Biden's up there stumbling and falling on stage and all of that shit? Nothing to see here?
Actually, I would say it like this. When you're doing a job that Joe Biden was doing in the sense of he was actually getting legislation passed, he was actually getting all of these First Acts and Build Back Better and all this other, like he had a lot of stuff going on, the CHIPS Act. When you're doing stuff like that, who the hell cares?
I think you sounded like MAGA. You're just defending Biden with it.
I just said that's what MAGA would say.
Yeah.
When you're doing all of these great things, who the hell cares? So why does it matter at the time that Joe Biden had a good economy, he had all this good shit going on, he was bringing shit back down? Why would we care that he's stumbling and bubbling on stage?
All right, Stick.
He's doing that, not us.
All right.
We don't give a damn.
Fair
We
enough.
don't give a damn.
Fair enough. All right, Stick. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, moving on. Go ahead and drop it. Moving on with the program with Trump. When Trump and even Biden, we care about results. Most of us waiting for results too early. I don't think that's true, MAGA reacts. I don't think not with Trump. I don't think MAGA cares about results with Trump. If Trump says it happened. I mean, how many times do I bring up the Haitian migrants, cats and dogs, or, the 2020 election? You guys don't need results for that shit. You just believe it. I don't think MAGA will ever hold Trump accountable for actually proving what he said about the 2020 election is true. They already believe it. You don't need evidence. You don't need results. You're good to go with what he's giving you. It's been 4 years since that election was held. He's not even discussed giving you results. Just telling you it happened was good enough. Looking in the comments, Trump is the type to commit felonies, but then hide behind the cops and say, protect me. Oh, and some might suggest the cops would actually do that too. Continuing on, claiming genocide in SA. Yeah, that's another good one, Mr. Mo Better. That's another great one, is that they're not seeing evidence. People believe that there's genocide going on in South Africa. Trump and Elon are not presenting that. They're not presenting any evidence to that happening. And a lot of folks on the right believe that it's taking place. That's insane to me, by the way, that all of a sudden Trump gets elected, partners up with Elon, and all of a sudden you're hearing about genocide in South Africa. You weren't hearing nothing about that. You heard about some black farmers or you heard about some black people committing crimes over there, some land being taken from some white farmers. But genocide, that never was being discussed until Trump came along with Elon. I mean, you didn't hear a damn thing about that during Trump's first term. You didn't hear anything about that during Biden's term. Genocide, not even close. Not even close. And I see in the comments, SGB says the video was total BS. Yeah, that was not happening. Biden was getting those prices raised. Thomas Lentham, I don't quite get what you're saying. I don't think that there is genocide in South Africa, but I don't care about 50 people wake me up at 10K or more. I get you're not concerned with how many people Trump brought in, because Biden brought in infinitely more immigrants than Trump did. So I get that part. But the guy is claiming that his actions are due to genocide, and you don't care about that? I mean, this is why folks keep saying that Trump is a liar. I mean, that's just completely fabricated out of thin air. It's just completely made up. It's just patently false. There's just nothing even remotely close to genocide in South Africa. Patently false. And by the way, I'm going to tell you one thing that really looks bad. Throughout all of apartheid and all of the black folks that were losing their land and being mistreated and oppressed in South Africa, we actually wait until just a hint of them taking revenge, and now we spring to action. I mean, you think about how many folks like Nelson Mandela did 27 years in prison for doing nothing as a political prisoner. You wait until just a few of them start getting mistreated, and now you want to. You realize how racist that looks? I mean, do you realize how bad that looks? Most of the folks that are people are claiming that are having their land taken, that is stolen land that they're having taken from them. And then all of a sudden you spring up, well, oh my God, we can't let the white folks lose their shit. As if you never heard of the song, Ain't Gonna Play Sun City, Sunshine City, and all that shit from the 70s. All of that apartheid going on in South Africa. And the minute it starts going the other way, you suddenly spring up and now America's got to do something. That looks really, really biased. I mean, I get Trump wasn't around when it was happening the other way, but America was. America was. And America was totally fine, completely ignoring the white folks in South Africa dominating the black folks. Now a few black folks are getting a little get back. Well, now we got to do something. You realize how bad that looks? I mean, that looks horrible. Looking in the comments, though, again, I don't like cops. But everyone would have to be a cop before they can judge cops and what they do. That ain't Joseph. No, there's no way I'm a buy into that. You don't have to be a cop to judge cops. I don't know what you do for a living, but I don't have to do that shit before I can say or not you're doing something wrong. I mean, look, if I see the mailman going down the street and throwing people's mail in puddles of water, do I have to be a mailman to know that shit is wrong? Really? No, you don't need to do something. If you can see something that's obviously being done wrong, a fireman pulls up at an address, there's a fire taking place, and they're all sitting around eating donuts while the house is coming down. You really need to be a fireman to know that it's wrong? You got to be a fireman before you can judge that? No. Look, I'm willing to work with you on being, in regards to being pro law enforcement. I'm willing to work with that, but only to a degree. You actually got to be law enforcement. You realize how many cops are going around judging every damn body? But you got to be one of them before you can judge them? No, it don't work that way. That's really kind of you, really pro law enforcement to say something like that. But no, if you can see somebody doing something wrong without actually having to be one of them. That's going a bit far. D Blue, good evening. Welcome to the program. There it is, all about get backs, not a good philosophy. Draco, I agree with that. I do believe that what they're doing in South Africa, some of it is revenge. I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't favor revenge, but I do have to ask, if you're on, let's say you grew up in a home, and that home has been in your family since you were a kid, and now you're an adult. Or better yet, let's do it the other way. Let's say I grew up in a home, and that I've been living there since I was born. That home has always been in my family since I was, before I was born, since I was a kid. Now I'm an adult, and they come and tell you that the land, the home I live in and the land I'm on was supposed to be your inheritance, but then my grandfather took it from your grandfather. What you gonna say? Oh, okay, never mind. He can have it. You wouldn't want anything done about that. It sounds great when it ain't happening to you, but think about it when it is happening to you. You would be okay with that, knowing that you're supposed to be much further along in life, but you're not, because I'm sitting there enjoying the proceeds from what my ancestors stole from yours. I guarantee you'd probably have a difference of it. D Blue, good evening.
What up, my man? Hey, what was that chat you were in last night?
Say that again.
What was that chat you were in last night?
I'm trying to think. I was in, I think, AJ's or something like that.
Yeah, AJ's. That was me that popped in.
Oh, and they kicked you out.
Yeah, I said 5 words. I said like 5 words, and those motherfuckers kicked me out.
Yeah,
goddamn, bro.
I'm usually.
Aren't they supposed to be the ones that are like the fuck your feelings type crap? Come on, man.
Yeah. MAGA. About don't be in your feelings and don't be in your emotions and all that. But the minute you started saying, look, everybody can be emotional. I know liberals can be, but MAGA's just the same. When they talk about snowflakes and shit like that, but the minute you start talking about Trump or something like that, the same attitude comes out. Everybody's like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd like to point out that the cancel culture, I feel like Democrats get 100% blame for cancel culture. But if you really think back to when cancel culture started, it was kind of during the Bush administration. You had rappers like Eminem, any rapper, really. That's when they started putting the explicit labels on. You had to have an ID to buy CDs, so this has been going on for a long time.
Well, I would also point out, I would also point out that anyone of celebrity status that was against the Iraq War, they were telling them you're unpatriotic and you hate the country. The Dixie Chicks, the right canceled the Dixie Chicks because they were against the Iraq War. So yeah, the right is about it. I mean, they don't like Taylor Swift. They tried to cancel the NBA and the NFL. Yeah, the right gets involved in cancel culture. They're lying that they don't tell you that.
And I just wanted to be the one to point out that they started it. both sides do it still to this day, but if you really think back, it started with the Republican Party.
I don't know who it started with, but I know
it started with Christian. It started with Christian value Republican Party is really what it was.
Oh, well, shit, that goes all the way back to the founding fathers. I mean, the Christians have always, in our country, anybody that goes against the traditional standards have always faced cancel culture. I mean, whether you were gay or whatever, if you were like that, you face cancel culture in this country. It's always been that way.
We'll call it new Christians because they don't exactly walk the walk these days.
Have they ever?
Yeah, I think they were better at pretending back in the day, but yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I can go all the way back to we can talk about the scandal with little boys, or we can go all the way back to the Native Americans. Christianity in this country never, when you see how America was founded and how we've treated quote unquote others, I don't think we've ever been operating like good Christians. We've always been me, it's all about us. That's what Trump is saying right now, America first. That don't sound, that's like the Last Supper with Jesus sitting in the middle saying it's all about me, you got to pay for the bread. I just don't see how we've ever been a Christian country.
In my opinion,
go ahead.
In my opinion, religion is how do I put this? Religion is the most divisive thing we have in the world. It's caused just about every war we've been in, or at least wars have been justified that way. It's caused us to treat other humans less than us, depending on your religion or your faith. It's really awkward. I'm not a religious man, obviously. I'm sure you could tell. A little bit more spiritual. But it's crazy how awkward you have to feel around someone when they ask you if you believe in the same thing they do and you tell them no. You know what I mean? It's not like a simple no where they take it. It's more like a no, and then it's like a no, and then they have to start explaining to you why you should believe that.
That is true if you're in a country that's religious. Like when I lived overseas, there was a lot of folks that were non-denominational or atheists and things like that. It was easy to say, but in America, where 70% of the population is Christian, you start because Christianity teaches you that if you're not a Christian, bad shit is going to happen to you eternally. So when a person tells a Christian that they're not religious, they start trying to save them because they think bad stuff is going to happen to them.
Yeah, and I would say Christianity is the worst of the religions. As wild as that might sound, I just think it's such a manipulative religion. That's really all it. To me, that's all it is just a manipulation tactic. How do we get a massive amount of the population to believe what we want them to believe?
Yeah.
Well, tell them that there's eternal hell if they don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a simple solution for those in power.
I don't disagree with it. That's why I always push back when folks say I don't want, LGBT and trans shit shoved down my child's throat in schools. And I say, but you're okay with the Bible? The Bible has nothing but horror stories in it. It's exactly what you just said. If you don't follow this bad stuff, you're going to burst into flames or you're going to burn in hell. For a young impressionable child, it is propaganda. Just like you believe that if a child is around the LGBTQ community, it might be tainted or even likely to become trans or whatever because of the effect but they don't see the same thing with Christianity. I mean, you're trying to force a kid to be in this religion. Let the kid become an adult, just like you would say with sexuality. Let them become an adult before deciding what religion they want to be. Why force it on them in school when they're a young, impressionable kid?
100%. And that's one of the things that I disagree with the most about this new administration is them wanting to put the Bible back in school and do Bible study classes, and that's not what this country was founded on. That's not freedom. That's not freedom.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is what we're likely to get under the Trump administration. Because you think about he's only been in for 4 months. Can you imagine 4 years? I mean, it's going to be a fairly far right America. I mean, he's moving to the right at lightning speed.
Not to mention, Tim.
Go ahead.
Not to mention, Tim, why is it that why is it
you're breaking up? I don't know what you're
religion
saying.
is turning the other cheek? Be nice to
Can you? Yeah, I don't know. I might have to drop you the blue. I don't know what's going on, but the audio is going in and out. Even if there is religion in schools, you can only teach it to Christians that want it, can't force it. That ain't true. MAGA Rex, that is not true. Like in Texas, they passed a law that the 10 Commandments has to be prominently displayed in schools. So it's got to be, and they even wrote it in the law down to the location and the size of the poster board it has to be on. They even give you the actual measurements. It has to be at least this big. So they're forcing kids to read the 10 Commandments, whether they want to or not. They're forcing them to read it. I mean, would you be okay with them forcing, a picture of somebody who's gay or forcing a rainbow flag in the school? Probably not. They're forcing it on them. It ain't just optional. It's same thing when they're talking about, well, the Bible's a history book, making up excuses to teach it. They're not going to treat the Quran as a history book. They're literally coming up with excuses to slide Christianity into schools and put it on kids. So I think I got to disagree with that. I do believe they're forcing it on kids. How is it that when they take God out of schools, that's when all the unaliving happens? I don't think that, and I've heard folks say that before, that when we had God and Christianity in schools, kids didn't do all of this stuff. I think that you see it that way because when we had religion in schools, we only focused on the positive and ignored the negatives, like all of the kids that were getting sexually abused and assaulted by folks that were part of the church. I mean, you don't bring that up. You're going to bring up the unalivings, but you don't bring up how many heads of churches have abused and assaulted kids sexually. So you want to bring that back? And by the way, it's probably more of that than the unalivings you're talking about. Tons of members of the clergy have sexually abused kids. Christians, by the way. Christians. We're not even talking about other religions. Christians. All over the damn place. Whether it's the priests or whether it is folks who head some of the revivals and gatherings and field trips they went on. But all members of the church. All members of the church was doing that. So bring back church in schools. Yeah, but you're focusing on the good and ignoring just a host of bad shit like that. Not to mention, if you are not Christian, the way you're viewed, the way you've been viewed, like what my last caller was talking about. So I don't favor putting religion in schools. And by the way, there's a whole lot of other countries on this planet that do not have as strong of a religious tie as America does, and nobody's getting unalive like that. Look, you're going to disagree with me on this, and I'm all about free speech, so you can tell me that in the comments, but we lose a lot of kids because we have a very liberal stance on gun ownership, because that's what's taking most of the kids' lives. They're not getting stabbed. They're not getting blown up with bombs. They're getting shot. It's as simple as that. Most of the kids losing their lives are getting shot. And there are plenty of other countries where they don't have firearms, and the kids, equal amount of kids per capita, are not getting stabbed or blown up with bombs or ran over with cars or whatever else you want to put it. I mean, they're getting shot. So I don't think it's a matter of putting religion in schools. No, it's the fact that people can get firearms and they're using them irresponsible. And we've made it so that, you know, it's easier and easier to get firearms. And if you make it easier for the population to get firearms, there's going to be a certain percentage of any population that is mentally unstable or irresponsible and should not have a firearm. So the easier you make it to get firearms, the more people are going to. I mean, just like with cars, the more cars you put on the street, the more accidents there's going to be. It's just a simple statistical probability. If you only had a few hundred cars, there would be less accidents than if you got millions of cars on the street. The more cars you put into the environment, the more people are going to have accidents with cars. The more firearms you put into an environment, the more people are going to get shot that shouldn't have. Because some folks are just going to be irresponsible with a firearm. And we are against passing any laws that address the irresponsible. We believe in passing laws reactive, not proactive when it comes to gun ownership. You could tell the doctor I wake up screaming at night, you know, and I have nightmares about what I went through in Fallujah or whatever. And most 2A people believe you should not lose your firearm based on that, even though you're admitting you're mentally off. Oh yeah, but we don't want to take away his right to defend himself. So I don't think it's got anything to do with religion. I think it's the fact that you're handing dangerous things up to people that are irresponsible. You probably could lose the right to drive easier than you can the right to own firearms in this country. Looking in the comments though, what would happen if guns disappeared tomorrow? You think that's going to stop violence? No, I don't. No, I do not think it's going to stop violence. However, when you commit an act of violence and you want to do damage, you want to take a life, for instance, the best thing to use is a firearm. You can shank somebody. You could try to run them over with a car, blow them up with a bomb. There's a reason why people keep using guns. They're just more effective at doing it. Same thing when it comes to trauma surgeons. It's better to operate on somebody that's been stabbed or, you know, than somebody who got hit in the head with an AK. I mean, it's more effective at killing. You can replace firearms with knives or anything else and there will still be violence. You're not going to replace the success rate, though. Firearms are far more successful at killing you than those other weapons. If a 12-year-old wants to go in class and take out a couple classmates, and you take the pistol out of his backpack and put a knife in there, his success rate is going to drop. If you did it with several 12-year-olds, some of them may be able to go in there and take some people out, but a lot more kids in that class are going to survive if he had to do it with a knife than a gun. I'm driving through the neighborhood and as a gangbanger and 3 of my rifles are sitting on the porch. I got a rifle on the back seat. I got an AR or something on the back seat, or maybe even a pistol with a drum on the back seat. I want to take out the 3 dudes on the porch. The minute I get to their house, somebody snaps the finger and suddenly there's a knife on my back seat instead of that pistol. My success rate's going to drop. It's as simple as that. If you get rid of the firearm and replace it with one of those other weapons, the rate of success drops. Certainly when it comes to juveniles taking lives, if they got to do it with bats and sticks and knives and shit, a lot more people going to survive. The success rate is going to drop. Not saying it's not still violent, but the firearm gives you a much greater success rate at taking a life than any of those other tools you might pick up, which is why time in and time again, criminals keep using the firearm because it is more successful. And I'll tell you, even in countries where, you know, you hear about people getting blown up and shit, they're still using firearms. Firearm is just much better. Distance, you can overpower somebody much bigger and stronger. They can't outrun it. I mean, all of those other tools you use, there's a lot more options to escape. They don't do as much damage. I mean, there's a reason why people keep using firearms. So I'll just leave it like that. Who drives around with AKs and with drums? Answer the question. I just said I'm driving down the street looking at rifles and I'm a gangbang. Plenty of people in the criminal element drive around with firearms. In fact, a lot do it. A lot of legitimate CCW holders drive around with it. Okay, shit. I think many of us have. You've never had a rifle in the car with you? Really? I don't know about that. Tim, Supercell Fusion says, Tim, you talk about killing people or vice versa. What's your opinion on what happened in the UK there's stupid people that were doing something crazy. I believe you're talking about in the UK, they ran over a bunch of people with a car. Same thing happened in New Orleans on, I think it was New Year's or whatever. Once again, I'm going to say what I said before, though. If you had that person get out of the car and stand there with an AR, chances are the death toll would have been higher. I mean, people can hear that car and get out of the way of that car. An AR is a lot different. If you could replace that car with an AR and get that guy a few extra magazines, chances are he's going to get a higher rate of success with that AR. Just you're right there at the crowd. You're about to go through the crowd and plow down as many people as possible, but you stop, get out of the car with the AR, and you got a bunch of magazines. You're going to get more success with that AR than you are with that car. Every time. You're going to get far more success. It's just, there's a reason why people choose it. Looking at the, there was a black and a machete. Same thing with a machete. You're going to get more. A machete is not even going to come close to the success rate of a firearm. It's not even going to come close to that. Because you got to take multiple swings. You got to be able to catch up to the person. There's a possibility they can overpower you and take it. Firearms different. I'm always heavy. You'll never catch me. Exactly. So I'm saying everybody's carried something. You can aim it at me and shit don't scare me either, but do you have the balls to suffer the consequences? That's reality. Anybody aim something at you, assume they have the resolve to use it. I wouldn't look at it otherwise. If you're going to aim some shit at me, I expect there's a good chance you might use it. Real quick before we move it on, did you guys tap the screen? Get your boy up to 55,000. Looking in the comments, let me make sure if it's bringing it up. There we go. All right, continuing on. Twisted 77. Good evening, Twisted. You're free to worship any God you like, even in schools. And you don't see the drama that might cause. You know, look, in my school, they got the 10 Commandments on the wall. I don't see the Quran. Obviously, your God is the wrong God. I mean, you don't see where that might cause problems between the kids if you're allowing them to openly worship and cause all that. You know how kids talk to each other. Twisted, good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. I haven't seen you in a while.
I generally don't do the politics much anymore.
No.
The only thing I really wanted to come up about, because I heard you say that most children get unalived by firearms, but the problem with that statement is that a big part of that is self-unaliving, which they're going to do one way or the other. Okay? If you take that out of the equation, then that statistic drops dramatically. And the bigger one, I mean, honestly, if you really care about the kids, drunk driving is the worst one.
But I'll even with your statement that a lot of it is them taking their own lives, I will even say in that case, if you're going to take your own life and you have to do it with a method that does not involve a firearm, I even think in that case, a lot more of those kids will fail to take their own lives and just wake up with a bad injury. I mean, firearms are more successful at taking lives no matter what. Even if you're trying to take your own life, it's more successful.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you on that part, but if you have the resolve to unalive yourself, you're going to do it one way or the other, whether you have a firearm or not.
Always.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't believe that. There's plenty of folks that have tried to take their own. Go ahead.
I know, but regardless, if you take that out of the equation, we're not talking about people unaliving other people. But when it comes to that, drunk driving is double the amount that firearms ever will be.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, we actually are trying to do something to address drunk driving.
And we don't do enough.
We don't do anything to address the firearms. We just keep saying, you know, the firearm is not to blame.
I mean, what happens when I know two different guys that unalived people drunk driving? They're free and clear.
How long did they serve? And how long were they incarcerated?
A couple years.
Okay.
One guy got a couple years. The other guy got nothing.
He was a DUI and he took somebody's life and they didn't give him any time at all.
Nope.
Big Dog in the comments said he must be a white guy.
Actually, no, he wasn't.
I don't know.
He was the white guy. The white guy got a couple years.
How did
The
you
other
get
guy,
away?
it was mixed.
There's got to be more to
I
that.
don't listen. I don't know how the hell he got away with it.
Yeah.
I've been wondering that shit myself.
Maybe he didn't.
I
Maybe
don't know
he
how he got
didn't
away
test
with it, but he did.
Yeah, maybe he didn't test dirty like you might think. I mean, there's got to be more to that. You took somebody's life while actively operating a vehicle while drunk, and you get no time at all. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I was just as surprised as you are. Trust me.
Yeah, I would love to see the case behind that because my guess is they didn't deem the guy was drunk. They might have deemed it was an accident, and he was sober.
Possibly.
Yeah. So
I know he was drunk.
That's different.
He knows he was drunk.
No, then that's different. But if the law doesn't know, though, he can get away with it.
Like I said, I don't know the particulars of it as far as what he did in court. His dad worked for me.
Okay. But you get the point I'm making.
Passed away.
Yeah, but you get the point I'm making. If you
No,
if your goal is to if your goal is to take a life, even if it's your own, your best choice for success is using a firearm.
True. Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you there.
And if you took away firearms, more people would fail at succeeding.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm still not going to take those away. I'm still not going to infringe on people's rights just because I'm afraid of what somebody else might do.
No, I'm not. Look, we're not necessarily having a Second Amendment, gun law debate. Like I said, I'm a CCW guy myself, but I'm just simply saying the reason so many kids or so many people in this country lose lives as opposed to other free world countries is because we are more friendly on gun ownership. That's how a large if you take away the gun deaths in this country, I don't believe knives and cars and all this other stuff would rise up to fill in that void. Some folks would use other alternatives.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the United States is the biggest, has the largest number of mass unalivings?
Because everybody has a different definition of what a mass unaliving is.
I understand that. Ours is 3 people.
Okay.
And they don't have to be unalived. A mass shooting, 3 people. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you got it with a BB gun, it still counts.
Any other country that...
As far as the world goes, we aren't even top 10.
Well, any country that has more mass unalivings than the U.S. is probably at war. What other countries are you talking about?
No. South America. I can't remember exactly which one it was. Hell, it might have been El Salvador before they got cleaned up. But we're not even top 10.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about you're talking about places like El Salvador or something like, you're talking about essentially no government at that point, just open lawlessness. So, I mean, Mad Max almost. Yeah, they might, like Haiti. Haiti probably has more. I mean, they just have open lawlessness. We claim to be civilized, and we got all these killings.
Well, you claim to be civilized, but you say open lawlessness, but then you want to defund the police.
That's a different argument because you've never heard that from me. In fact, I've never heard.
I'm not saying you specifically.
I've never heard.
You know what I mean?
I've never heard the powers that be like. I've never heard Biden. I've never heard Obama say that. I've never heard Nancy. In fact, they've all said they don't want that. I've never heard Nancy Pelosi suggest they want it. That's some fringe element, BLM. Maybe Ilhan Omar or somebody like that. But most of the leaders of the Democrat Party, you would be hard pressed to find any video of them ever saying they want to defund the police.
No, but it's happened. Look at Seattle or Portland, one of the two.
Then that's a local city government.
But the point is, it ain't Republicans doing that.
No, they're talking about giving them immunity.
Regardless, that's not the point. You're changing the subject.
What's the difference?
What do you mean? What's the difference?
What's the difference between defunding the police or giving them immunity?
Because we've gone over this whole immunity debate 1,000 times. I'm not going to get into that.
But I'm asking you, what is the difference, though?
What is the difference? You're talking about mass lawlessness, okay, causing more unalivings. And I'm saying that's the same party that's saying defund the police. Now you want to go with giving police immunity. That's a different argument altogether.
That's the other party. One party is saying defund, the other party is saying give them immunity.
I haven't heard that whole immunity thing since the election. Have you?
I haven't heard defund the police even further back than that.
What?
When was the last time you heard an actual liberal talk about defunding the police? When was the last time you heard somebody say that?
Right before the election.
I haven't. What was the person's name? I haven't heard of any well-known liberal talking about defunding the police.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I remember Trump saying he wanted to give him immunity.
I think largely they've abandoned that argument, but the fact of the matter is they were arguing that for a long time.
Yeah, but you should, even if they abandon the argument, the fact that you can't come up with a name of anyone. Trump is on video saying he wanted to get a police immunity. I mean, I know who said that.
And when was the last time you heard that?
I did a live. He said it. He actually said it probably about 5 months ago.
Okay, so it's been 5 months and nothing's happened.
Yeah, that well.
So then it's the same argument about the defund the police thing. So you're saying, well, that hasn't been said in a while. Okay,
I don't even know who said it though.
Said in a while too. Why you keep bringing it up?
No, there's a big difference. I don't even know what liberals said defund the police to begin with. You can't even give me a name. I don't even know who's saying that.
I think, was it Cory Booker was one of them?
I would love to know.
If I remember. I don't, but you can't quote me on that because I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, I've never heard of
And I'm being honest with you here when I say I don't remember.
And that's why I appreciate that. But I don't know of any well-known liberal that was on television saying I want to defund the police. And I would also want to know, defund them how? You just want to get rid of them? You want anarchy in that area? I would want to hear them explain that. I've never heard of any well-known liberal saying they want to defund the police and just get rid of them, huh? You think everybody in this area in the hood is, look, I'm from the hood. I think that would be crazy for somebody to suggest defunding the police. Now, here's where I might.
It was crazy too.
That's why I said I've never heard it. I've never heard somebody say something like that.
Well, you've never once heard that. Come on.
Anytime I hear somebody, I've heard the phrase defund the police hundreds of times. Every single time it was somebody on the right saying that liberals want to do it. I've never heard any liberal politician talking about they want to defund the police. It's always somebody on the right saying the left wants to do that.
All right. I will find you some videos and send them to you. You know I'm good for that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd love to see it, and I'd go ahead and concede the point. But yeah, I've never seen that. I mean, like, because listen, I'm from the South Side of Chicago. Like, you get rid of the police, it's gonna be murders everywhere. Like, why would you want to do something crazy like that? I would never agree to that. Now,
I ask myself the same question.
But here is the difference, though, Twisted. If the police are going out and constantly buying, Iraq war surplus, and they're driving through the hood with MRAMs, and they're going out and buying 50 cals or something stupid, I want that defunded. I'd rather you use that money to get yourself training on how to de-escalate situations as opposed to how to blow them up. Now, which could be a measure of reallocating funding. I mean, they do buy shit I don't think they need. So maybe I'm just speculating here, but maybe that's what they meant.
What things do you don't? What things are they purchasing that you don't think they need?
MRAMs, all of that stuff, all of that Iraq war surplus shit.
So an armored vehicle.
Yeah.
What's wrong with an armored vehicle?
I don't think you show up to one guy's house and you need a tank outside the crib. In LA, they use those things to rip off the whole front of the house. I don't think you need that. I don't think you need something like that.
Okay, well, so if you got a guy inside a house with an AR, okay, and he's threatening to unalive anybody that comes near the place, how do you get in?
Surround the house.
You've been trying to de-escalate for 30, 40 hours and nothing's happening. How do you get in?
Tear gas.
Well, that armored vehicle said looking pretty good there, right? To break down that door without hurting yourself.
I tend to think you could probably armor a regular car to the point of doing that. I just say tear gas. I don't think you need I don't think you need something like that. And by the way,
you could, Rich.
And by the way, it ain't just MRAMs Twisted. They're these big mobile command centers that cost millions of dollars. I don't think you need it. I just don't think you need it.
Well, I mean, a command center is really not a weapon of sorts. That's just
it's a waste of money. A lot of them just remain parked at the police station.
We can argue that it's a waste of we can argue that it's a waste of money, but I don't think that's it's not a weapon though.
Well, no, but that's where the defunding is coming. They're thinking they're abusing and misusing the funds, is what they're saying.
Well, if they're wasting money on stuff like that, I can understand where they would say that. But I mean, there's only so much training. Have you ever done that kind of work or anything close to it?
No. No, I have not.
Okay. Me neither. I mean, I was an armed guard for a while.
I've done that.
Some people can't be reasoned with, and you know that.
Yeah, I do, but I don't think you can't reason with them so bad you need an MRAM. I think there are other ways to do it.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there is no amount of training to try to de-escalate something with somebody that will not de-escalate.
Yeah, and let me also
something like that.
Yeah, and let me also say it this way, because I understand if you're in Los Angeles or you're in Chicago, you might need something like that. But keep in mind, you got little small town police departments that are buying all of this shit that they never use. I mean, it's not just it's not just in these areas where you got major criminals. You got a lot of small town people who got budgets and they go out and buy this stuff, which amounts to nothing more than toys. So there's a lot of police departments that are buying shit they don't need.
Okay, well, that's the problem of the towns that they live in. Those people elect those officials, their city councils, their mayors. They need to get those people out of office and get rid of the stuff. If they're abusing it like that, it doesn't need to be something nationwide or anything to that effect. To limit what a police department thinks it needs, and if the town itself thinks it needs it, then who are we to say that they're wrong?
Well, you know the likelihood. Like I said, if you got a mobile command center and it barely ever leaves the police yard, you don't need it. You don't need it. I mean, you're using it once or twice a year. You don't need this. There's plenty of times you can tell they don't need stuff.
Well, then, the argument could be that in that respect, better to have it and not need it than not need it or need it and not have it.
What about this twisted? Ace Ventura in the comments says, I've heard the right say defund the Capitol Police. Have you heard that at all?
I haven't, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said it.
I know they want to defund the federal police.
And if they did, then they're wrong. Okay. If they believe that there are people in the Capitol Police Force that are bad actors, then they need to be dealt with. Get rid of them, fire them.
Right.
Discipline them, whatever. But defunding them? No, I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
All right, fair enough.
You know me. I'm a reasonable person. You know that.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same side of this issue. I mean, the fact is, I get what folks attribute to the left, but I tell you right off the bat, certainly when you're talking about people in my age group, Generation Xers, you're not going to find a lot of Democrats that are Generation X, or you're Gen X. You're not going to find a lot of Gen X Democrats that are talking about defunding the police. That might be some young kids that's out there pulling capers and they don't like the cops, but the overwhelming majority of the Democratic Party, the ones that actually vote, not the ones that are 20 years old that don't vote any damn way, but the ones that actually vote, they're not going to be talking about defunding the police. They're just, that's just something the right is attributed to them.
That's because we're sensible.
Right.
These kids, they're not.
Yeah, but they're not. But the problem is these kids, Twisted, most of them are not even showing up to the polls to vote, yet they're being called Democrat. It's just like the Black Lives Matter. A lot of folks on the right refer to Black Lives Matter as liberals and Democrats. The folks that are running in CVS, taking out TVs and running up in Best Buy and stealing shit, them people ain't voting. A lot of them are underage or felons. They can't even vote. But yet many folks are claiming that Black Lives Matter is Democrats. These people are not involved in politics at all. They may have liberal views, but they're not contributing to the elections for the Democratic Party.
Maybe not now, but they will be at some point. And then what?
So we're going to hold them. What is this, the Minority Report? We're going to hold them in the future. They might be voting in the future.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you don't nip stuff like that in the bud for your own party, now it'll become a problem for you later on.
You're not going to nip it in the bud as long as you're telling the police that, I back the blue no matter what. I mean, you're not, if people believe they're being mistreated by an outfit, telling them they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and you continue to back the outfit, you're not going to nip it in the bud. The right's viewpoint. Go ahead.
Like I said, I'm sensible. You're sensible because we're both Gen Xers. Okay. And for the most part, we're pretty sensible, and none of us are going to go along with back to blue no matter what, because I don't.
Well, true, but the right's mindset towards people of color that believe the police are doing wrong is you're making it all up. If you only comply to, I mean, for the most part, if you're a person of color and you're complaining about law enforcement, the right is going to dismiss you. Even the folks that have been caught on video, like the George Floyd and the Rodney King, the right is, for the most part, saying even those folks kind of got what they deserved. So if you're a person of color and you need to complain about police, you're not going to get an ear from the right at all. They're going to side with the cop.
See, I don't believe that.
Give me an example of somebody where it did not happen, where they said, yeah, the cop was wrong. There's a lot of controversial shootings, killings, and beatings. Give me one. Breonna Taylor, all of them. In every case, the right has said the cop probably didn't do nothing wrong, and the person that got it kind of got what they deserved. Give me one example out of all of those things.
Oh, okay. I can give you an example. There was that guy, and I don't remember his name, but you'll remember the case, I'm sure. He got pulled over when the
somebody said
officer
Ashley
approached him,
Babbitt.
told him he
Somebody said Ashley Babbitt, but go ahead, twist it. Ashley Babbitt is up there getting banged by George Floyd right now. She's in a better place. Go ahead.
The guy got pulled over. He informed the officer that he had a firearm, and the officer just shot him. That officer was wrong.
I had a lot of people say he was wrong for reaching.
For what?
You're talking about Amar Diallo or whatever his name.
I don't remember his name. But
a lot of folks said that he had his girlfriend in the car. Yeah, I know the exact case. I can't think of the guy's name either, but a lot of folks accused him of reaching because he had the firearm in the glove compartment. And he told the cop he was armed. Castle. Philando, what is it? Philando Castle, Castile or something.
Castile.
Yeah. Yeah, they said a lot of folks believe that he got it.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a minute. The cop was freaking wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Okay.
He was probably inexperienced, scared out of his mind. He heard the guy had a firearm and freaked out.
Yeah, I don't. Look, you and I are on the same side of this issue, but I'm saying that generally, if you are a person of color and the cops treat you wrong, you're not going to get a listening ear from people on the right. You're just not. They're going to come up with some, like in George Floyd, they're bringing up his criminal history from 2004 and all of that shit. You seen what Candace Owens did, a whole video detailing all kinds of crimes he committed in the past that had nothing to do with his encounter with Derek Chauvin. Just finding all this other shit to bring up on this guy. So you're just not going to get a listening ear from the right.
I don't watch Candace Owens, so I don't know what she puts out or doesn't put out.
All right, fair enough.
You know, I don't watch a lot of those mainstream guys because I think they're all whacked out of their damn mind. and the more I listen, the more I go, ugh. You know what? I'm just going to get back to work.
All right, no argument there. All right, Twisted, I do got to move it on. Good to see you on again. You don't talk politics as much, but anytime you do, feel free to stop on by.
I always do. But you've been hanging out with some people I don't hang with anymore. So.
Oh, is there some bad blood there? I kind of think it's one of the Jays.
Just a conflict of interest.
Oh,
if I don't agree with somebody, that's it. That's that.
All right.
I'm not going to talk shit on anybody because I don't do that. Just to say that if I don't agree with somebody, I don't agree with them. That's all.
Well, come on through here anytime. You don't have to agree with a damn thing I say. You always get a chance to speak here no matter what. It's all about free speech. Twisted. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on with the program. Looking in the comments, 6% of our population does 65% of all the crime. 6%? Who the hell represents 6%? Even the black people are 13%. 6% of the population does 65. Wow, you really... You've been hanging around the Trump Institute of Numbers. 6% does 65% of all the crimes. Trump always exaggerates numbers to make a point. So I'm going to make it look like the blacks, I think you're talking about blacks. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to make it look like the blacks are even a smaller percentage of the population and that they're committing even more of the crimes. You just exaggerating your ass off there. That's not true, by the way. 13 my ass. Wow. Yeah, I think blacks are like 13 to 16% of the population. They're certainly more than 6. That's absolutely false. They're far more. It's more of us than that. Damn, 6%. I don't know what the truth is, but I do know it is the lawyer's job to discredit someone's character. He may have mistreated that dear lady, my compassionate side. Well, the problem with the lawyer's job, if you don't have money, you get to get a public pretender, or what they call a public defender. You're not gonna get a good lawyer. You're just not. I mean, and certainly if you got um I want to say a celebrity type crime where people are outraged. Let's say you go in and you rob a liquor store. Let's say you're a black dude or a person of color. I'm just going to use race in this, but let's say you're a person of color and you go into a liquor store or something like that, and during the course of you robbing a place, you take out two little white kids or something like that. The reason I'm using race is because that's going to be a case that's going to make a lot of news. It's going to be all over the place. So now they're likely, because the public wants justice for something that bad, they're going to put their best prosecutor on that. They're going to put their best on that. And if you're dealing with a public defender, there's almost no chance you're going to get anything but the max on that. Almost no chance. Because you're going up against the best and you're barely able to afford to come in there with anything at all. So money makes a big difference in our criminal justice system. It really, really does. If O.J. Simpson was a bus driver, he would have died in prison. He'd have died in prison. I mean, being able to afford the best and brightest attorneys makes a big difference. Chris, you are the problem with why this country is divided. You can't handle disagreement, so you cut people off sad, says Florida Blondie. Ooh, I'd like to know what that conversation was about. In Florida, I always appreciate seeing you in the comments. Florida Blondie's right. Always appreciate that. Let me go into the box again. Arshafani, appreciate you holding. Good evening. The justice system is corrupt. Depends on who you are and how much money you have. I agree with that 100%. MD. Arsha, good evening.
Hey, well, good afternoon for me, but yes, good evening to you.
Good to have you on again. We were originally talking about the notion that George Floyd has a criminal rap sheet that is as long as someone's arm. Why the hell is he getting murals and statues, and he's no hero and he does not deserve to be memorialized? What say you?
Okay. Would I say George Floyd was a hero? Absolutely not. But he was a human being that, because of that 9 minutes that was taken on video, the world woke up. Not just America, the world. Right. There were protests all around the world in many different countries. And, I actually just listened to a interview with the police chief during the time of his death. He just wrote a book, and he actually wrote at the end of the book a apology letter to George Floyd's daughter. And the way that the Minneapolis police chief at the time took it was a reckoning for America. Because think of 2020, that was 2023. Correct? Oh, no, sorry, 2021. Right. 2020. We had Ahmaud Arbery, who was just a jogger, living his life, gunned down by people. We had Breonna Taylor, who was sleeping in her home, who was, mistakenly shot. And then here we had this gentleman. I mean, this is all like bam, bam, bam within a very short period of time. Basically televised.
I wanted to say something in regards to you bringing up those cases, because a lot of folks talk about, Black Lives Matter is corrupt and, they're a terrorist outfit and things like that. Oddly enough, all of them cases you brought up, if it was not for George Floyd, if it was not for Black Lives Matter, rather, most of them cases,
nobody would know.
Yeah, nobody would know, and the families would not have gotten justice. If Black Lives Matter did not go down there protesting and screaming, those cases were already wrapped up. The jogger you're talking about in Georgia, the guy was running and they claimed he was breaking in a house and they chased him down with a pickup truck and killed him. They gave them folks their guns back in like a few hours and sent them home.
And let's not forget that one of those people was a former police officer.
Yep. Yep.
And he was just running. He was a young, aspiring person with a possible future, as well as any of these people. Okay, yeah, and what I want to say is, Michael Brown, St. Louis, he, hands up, don't shoot, hands up. He was the very first one that that created BLM, and then it went forward with, Eric Garner and.
Yeah, because I got folks in the comments. One guy said, "Oh my God, now Tim is defending BLM." And yeah, like I said, regardless of what BLM has been involved in regards to the foundation misappropriating money and things like that, fact is there are families out there that were told the killing of their loved one was justified, and they were on the process of wrapping it up until BLM started showing down there demanding answers, and now people are in prison for Derek Chauvin. We're talking about right now. It took 4 days of rioting before they finally charged that dude. If there was no rioting, that dude would not have been charged. They were going to let that man go. So BLM, there is good that has come out of BLM, but go ahead.
So what I want to say about, because I don't want to put the focus on Derek Chauvin. I want to put the focus on on George Floyd. Mm-hmm. He was a human being, just like any of us. He had never committed a violent crime. Yes, he has some drug offenses, and I actually listened again to the former chief of police of Minneapolis, who.
Arsha?
Right. A bit about George Floyd. He did have anxiety. He did have fear of the police. He did have, apparently, according to the former chief of police's book, I'll have to send you a link on the book, but it sounds very interesting. He just came out. So he had anxiety. A lot of run-ins that he had with the police did not end well. He, had altercations.
Why does he keep having run-ins with the police, though?
Well, again, I'm not saying he was a saint. Not saying, he did drugs, things like that. However, what I want to say is, no, he's not a hero, but he's a human being. He was a son. He was a friend, and he was a father. And regardless of whatever it was that he may have done in his previous days prior to this altercation, did not mean he deserved the death penalty. And for that man, the police officer, to listen to not only George, but the passersby or the people standing saying, "Let him go," and then with defiance to still stick with it. He may not have meant to take his life, but he sure as hell didn't mean to save it.
That's a good point. And
that is, just because you take drugs, just because you have do some things doesn't mean, and that's my thing to MAGA reacts or anybody. Oh, the fentanyl. Okay, whatever. Fentanyl is actually prescribed to many people but at the end of the day, if you're going to use that as an excuse for a person who has been given a uniform, a badge, and a gun, and on their vehicle says "protect and serve," he failed that day.
Yeah.
Not only did he fail, he chose not to protect a life. Because at the end, nobody's life was in danger. It's over a $20 bill, really?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it really doesn't matter what the arrest is for. If you resist arrest, the police are going to keep escalating the attempt to arrest you until you succumb to it. So you could lose your life. I don't care if it's over a bag of potato chips. If you keep resisting, they have to take you into custody.
But Tim.
Yeah.
How we've seen it. Eric Garner, I can't breathe, or I can't breathe.
Right.
big man. He was just selling loose cigarettes. I had no idea that meant you had the death penalty to be selling loose cigarettes on the corner. I didn't know that was, it was a conviction upon. Okay, but we go into these things, and it's like,
hold on. Let me just say it like this.
Wait. Let me reiterate. George Floyd was not a perfect human. However, he was a human being. He was a son. He was a
We
father.
get all that. We get all of that.
Yes, but he did not deserve what happened to him that day.
But here's what I wanted to say, because you said, you mentioned the other guy with the loose cigarettes, and it's not a death sentence. How about we do have to take in consideration that, look, if you're committing a crime, once they got you, they got you. Fighting with police, once they are trying to effect an arrest, increases your likelihood of a very bad outcome. If any of these folks had just said, fuck it, look, you got me, and got in the car, let's be real, most of them would be alive. I mean, let's just be honest, most of these folks would be alive.
Did you watch the Eric Garner video? Because he never fought.
Yeah,
he was just a big dude that had a shitload of people on top of him, and he died from no air.
Eric Garner didn't put up any resistance at all?
Have you not seen that video?
Yeah, I've seen the video, and I'm pretty sure he put up resistance. I mean, I don't care how bad you are, in most cases, if you succumb to the arrest, most cops don't just start beating the shit out of you. Even bad cops.
Okay. First off, I will disagree.
Okay.
I will disagree. I think it depends on who you are and what you look like. The stereotype of you're a big dude. I hear you talk about it all the time, that you're a big dude. I don't know. You seem just like Tim online. But anyway, you say you're a big dude, you're 6-something, weigh something pounds, okay? If you were standing outside of a convenience store, I don't know that the same thing would not have happened to you, just because you could be like, what's going on? Why are you messing with me? You could throw your hands up in the air and be like, what's happening? And they could, I think it depends on the people on the other side of I honestly don't know what the answer is for Black Americans.
Let me just say this. There absolutely are bad cops out there, and I'm with you. I don't know what the answer is either, but I do believe that at least some of this could be reduced by actually realizing they got you. If you commit a crime, that doesn't mean you should die. I agree with you. It's not a death sentence. But I understand that if you don't cooperate with police, there are some of them that don't know how to control themselves and may do something awful. There are a lot of fuck around and find out cops. So when you start resisting arrest, that you increase the likelihood you might encounter one of them.
I'm not saying you should resist arrest, because Caucasian people do it just as much, but they don't end up on the news cycle. And
no argument from me on that.
With you, Tim, I want to bring up something. I don't know why every single time you and I talk, you got to be devil's advocate with me. Can't you just be my friend, bro?
I am your friend.
My family's from Chicago. Can't you just be like, yeah, girl, I'm with you on this. You're always like, but I'm like, anyway,
listen, we're friends.
Maybe I should lighten my profile and call myself MAGA, because then you'll be nice to me.
Oh my God! What are you trying to insinuate? What are you insinuating?
I'm teasing. I'm just trying to make you smile so I can see those pearly whites. Anyway, not in a weird way. I'm married. Don't get excited.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's 2025. Go ahead.
So that's my take on George Floyd. He's not a hero, but it was a reckoning. And don't take it from me. Take it from the police chief of Minneapolis that decided to resign to the mayor during that time, because he himself had a reckoning. And he acknowledges that the Minneapolis Police Department has had a very long thing of, not treating black, which is why he wrote this book. I'm actually really excited to read the book because I think taking it firsthand of what he had dealt with, and then the apology to George Floyd's daughter, it will be interesting, especially since he had seen George Floyd a few times.
I'm going to just say this, and I'm not resisting, so understand I'm not pushing back on this, but it would be nice if he had apologized without writing a book that he's going to make money off of. It's just the timing of it. I mean, George Floyd's been dead all these years, and you're timing this apology right when you got a book coming out, so people are going to be sympathetic to you as one of the good cops who are apologizing and go out and buy your book. I'm just simply saying there may be some financial reason why he's doing it. Should have done it already by now.
And that's the thing, when you listen to the interview, he is not saying he was a good guy. He's saying it's been a problem that, again, 2020, with all of these things happening, and, you know, America on Fire, you know, it was a progression. We had Ahmaud Arbery, we had, you know, Taylor, we had all these things of like, what the fuck is wrong with our country and our police department? And they were all very different scenarios, right?
Right.
Very different. Neither one of them there was the same, but the outcome was the same, which was the person that happened to be melanated died at the hands, or murdered, I would say, at the hands of people either in uniform or pre-uniform.
But did you?
So moving.
But before I let you go, did you hear what Trump? Because you're talking about all the folks had to be melanated. Did you hear this from Trump?
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
He said more. He said more whites.
Again, not disagreeing with that. But what I want to say is how, okay, you know, I love Donald Trump's opposite day because I would love him to take that into South Africa because 9,000 black people are being murdered. And only, I mean, murder is murder. It doesn't matter what color you are or where you come from. But good God, man. It is, if people haven't figured it out by now, he's saying everything out loud. Just listen.
What is he saying?
You don't hear it.
I'm asking you. What is he saying out loud?
Well, yeah, but white people are, it's the, white people, according, I don't know if you understand this right now, Tim, but I read it in the news. J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump have definitely exclaimed, or, you know, made up this whole stance on ending white racism in America.
Yeah, they believe that whites are being replaced. So, yeah, I do agree with that.
No. That's not what they say. They believe that. I'm not going to believe in the white. They haven't said the white replacement theory. They have said that white people are facing racism.
I haven't heard that.
And, well, J.D. Vance has been, he talks about it all around. I don't know how that woman, that beautiful, gorgeous Indian woman, is married to that man, but it's probably the eyeliner. But it's this whole flip, right? Like we were making a lot of progress, all of us in America.
What are you saying, Trump? What are you saying? Trump has rolled things back?
And then all of a sudden, things got to be a little bit too much, and maybe some group of people start to feel like, you know what, you being equal to me makes me feel like you're taking something from me. And I don't like that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Therefore, we're going to make a different type of message, which
well, you got
is
I do got to move it on, but you got to get a man time. He's only been in office 4 months.
It's happening, Tim.
4 months. Give him time. Arsha, thank
4
you.
months is 4 years in Trump time. We're living in a okay, you know how they have dog years? Like every year for a dog is 7? every day is a month for me in this weird upside down world of strange things that I'm living in. But anyway, that's my take on George Floyd. He is not a hero. He is a human that we need to learn of how to be better humans in this time.
Appreciate it, Arsha. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, and real quick in the comments, this is an old case, but I haven't seen this video, but since she mentioned it, I'm curious because listen, I'm not gonna suggest that anybody should lose their life. I don't buy into that notion that simply resisting arrest or committing crimes means that it's okay if the police take your life. And I know a lot of folks on the right do, particularly when it's a person of color, particularly because I do believe strongly that if Ashley Babbitt was a person of color and lost her life doing what Ashley Babbitt did, she would have gotten no sympathy at all from the right. But I don't believe committing a crime alone should dictate you losing your life unless somebody else's life was in danger and they took your life in the process. But as I told my other caller before my last, if you are a person of color and you believe the police have mistreated you, you're not going to get much of a listening ear from people on the right. But I do want you to, this is the Eric Gardner's case, because she was saying he wasn't resistant. I don't know. I don't remember seeing this video whole, but I do know he passed away from a chokehold. But let's just see what happened here. Hold on a second. I mean, I believe there's audio to this, so I do want to see if I can hear it.
What? Every time you see me, you mess with me. I'm tired of it. This stops today.
This guy right here is forcibly trying to lock somebody up for breaking up a fight.
Everybody saying it until I didn't do nothing. I did not sell nothing. Because every time you see me, you want to harass me, you want to stop me, trying to sell a cigarette. I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time, please just leave me alone. Please, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Hold on.
Don't touch me, please. Do not touch me.
Damn.
Where's your hand, buddy? Where's your hand, buddy? I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Once again, police beating up on people.
That's brutal. I'm gonna stop at that. I mean, look, he's resisting arrest. There's no denying, but they took that to level 100. I mean, that chokehold was deep. And then when he had him on the ground, the guy's literally 2 hands on his head, smushing his. I mean, that was brutal. Yeah. I mean, he was resisting though. I mean, for the sake of the discussion, he was resisting. But damn, they took that way too far. Certainly if they're talking about over cigarillos or whatever. I think this is what I talked about earlier about fuck around and find out law enforcement. A lot of law enforcement are fuck around and find out just like citizens are. And they're looking forward to somebody who tries to resist. I mean, after all, they got infinite backup. So how dare you challenge me? And when he started, the video starts out with him telling the cop, I'm tired of you guys messing with me. You know, he was making it clear, I'm not going to listen to you. You're not going to take me into custody. So the minute they started trying to arrest him, he started fighting. And that guy was eager to throw that chokehold in on him. And it was deep. So hopefully that's outlawed in every department there is. I mean, to me, unless you're dealing with lethal force or something like that, where you just got to stop somebody with everything you got, you shouldn't be able to sink a chokehold in that deep. And he got like multiple officers there to help him out. The dude is a big guy. I'm not denying that, but that was deep. He literally had that chokehold in deep. And ultimately the guy ended up losing his life. Looking in the comments, apparently he's been a problem long before this. Like I said, none of this stuff justifies killing somebody, though. I mean, this case here, for what he is being charged with, the solution could have been simple. Look, I got a choice. I could either take your ass to jail or you can move on. Now, if he starts saying, "Well, I'm not even gonna move on," then that's even worse. But look, I mean, I think one of the problems that has led to a lot of this shit happening is that officers no longer use discretion. And I'm going to say probably more so with people of color. But there's a lot of things people end up going to jail for that they could have, it wasn't harmful to the community. Yeah, it might have been a minor violation. You just go. Hell, when we were young, they would take drunk drivers' keys away, throw them in the grass and send them home. Send them home. Now, I don't care if you're driving without a license. They're arresting folks and taking them to jail. Almost anything. It's gotten to the point where if this allows us to arrest you, we're going to arrest you. Like sometimes you could use discretion and just tell a person to move it along. You don't have to take every damn body to jail. And sometimes they do. I mean, like in Ferguson, a town where they had all kinds of Black Lives Matter riots and shit in. When Eric Holder, Trump's what was Eric Holder? The top cop, the same job that Attorney General. He was Attorney General, same job that Jim Barr had for Trump. Trump's Attorney General, when they went in there and they did an investigation of Ferguson, they were literally taking some folks to jail for jaywalking. This is the kind of shit that ruins your relationship with police. Like in some cases, you can use discretionary shit not to fuck with people. You don't have to mess with somebody for every little thing you can. And even though it is a genuine violation, jaywalking is indeed a violation, nobody's being hurt, no traffic is being held up. Why are you fucking with the guy? It's fishing. Let's just admit what it is. This guy looks like what you might think is somebody that's probably got other shit on his rap sheet. So you're going to use the most mundane excuse possible to create an encounter with him. So if you do create this encounter with him, you know he's going to be pissed off because it's a bullshit encounter to begin with. So he's already argumentative. And because you already don't trust him, you're ready to escalate shit too. And now all of a sudden you got a major event over something that never should have happened. You never should have been fucking with him over jaywalking. But this is a kind of, a lot of these stories are based on that. Ran your tags, and you got a tail light that's a little bit brighter than the other. Little shit like that. Just fucking with people. Fishing expeditions. And the person knows it's a fishing expedition. So when you walk up to them, they're already pissed off because they know this is one of the most bullshit stops they've ever gotten through. And you expect, well, you should be peaceful and happy and cooperative. They're pissed off. It's bullshit. People can see through the bullshit. So I do believe that if that type of stuff didn't happen, in addition to people not complying with law enforcement as well, you could have a lot of these cases not take place. I do believe that in all situations, you should comply with law enforcement. You're never going to win an argument on the side of the road. I don't care how bad the arrest is, how much bullshit you're dealing with. You're just not going to win an argument with law enforcement on the side of the road. So you have to deal with the arrest. But just because you're compliant does not mean the relationship between the public and police is getting any better. It's a hell of a lot of people of color that have complied with the cops, yours truly being one of them, and still walked away with a horrible, horrible reaction to what happened. I've complied with bullshit stops. I knew I was stopped. I had a person chase me down several blocks. When he got up to me, I had pulled over. He got out of his car, walked all the way around my car looking for whatever the fuck he could find. And then when he finally stopped on my side of the door, he said, well, for a moment, I thought you didn't have your seatbelt on. But do you mind if I search your car? It's a bullshit stop. It's a bullshit. You drove for several blocks because you thought I'd have a seatbelt on. I drove past. You looked at me. You looked at my car and you thought this might be a score. So now you got to create a reason to pull me over. You created a reason to pull me over. You pulled me over and found out the reason is not even legit. But you decided to continue with the stop anyway. You know how many people in the person of color community, hell, even a lot of white people have stories like that. That shit needs to stop if you want to improve relations. That type of shit needs to stop. No, I didn't. No, driver 715. Yeah, if the police ask to search my car, I'd rather just go ahead and say yeah. I don't want it, but at the same time, like I said, you never know when you're dealing with a fuck around and find out type of cop. Just like when the cops pull you over, they touch the quarter panel of your car because they don't know if you're going to be some outrageous gun-toting citizen that starts shooting. You don't know that either. You don't know that either. We're past the era where everybody knows that the cops can be trusted. No, we're not in that era anymore. The videotapes have proven that. We talked about that at the beginning of the live. Video has proven that all cops can't be trusted. So when you get pulled over by police, you should be almost as equally cautious dealing with them as they are dealing with you. You just don't fucking know. So as a result, I'd rather just let them search my car as opposed to putting up resistance. And because let me just be honest with you, just because you have a right to say no to a cop doesn't mean that cop is going to either realize you have that right or treat you with respect for using that right. A lot of cops take your invoking your rights as resistance, as some sort of putting up conflict. So sometimes you got a choice to make. I can either stand by my rights or deal with all of the bad shit that may come from this officer who don't know what rights I legally have. So as a result, I would just go ahead and search the car. I know ain't nothing in it. It's going to piss me off. But at the same time, if I say no and he starts creating all kinds of other reasons, and before you know it, you may get tickets you didn't deserve. You may get your car towed for something you didn't do. Now you got to go to court and take it to the next level. It just is not a good outcome as opposed to a 10, 15-minute search. I'm not saying that's advice you should take by any means. I get that it's bowing down, almost being a pussy to the cops. I'm not, listen, if you want to invoke your rights with the police, damn it, you have rights, do that. But I'm simply saying the cops cannot always be trusted, and sometimes doing that can lead to all sorts of bad outcomes. Let them search the damn car. My opinion, I would rather just let them search the damn car and move on. A lot of folks have said, no, I don't want to speak to you. Passengers, I don't have to show you my ID, which they legally don't, and all kinds of bad shit happen to them. If that's the ground you want to stand on, you have a right to do it, so be it. Looking in the comments, though. I own a murdered out of 2013 SS Impala, and everywhere I go out at 4 a.m., I get pulled over within 10 minutes as I roll down my window laughing my ass off. You thought you had a black dude with kilos. Well, that ain't a good thing to do. But listen, at the same time, you talking about you had a 2013 SS Impala. I think we all know certain cars attract the cops too. Any car that looks hood, you can get it. You take a 1990s Lincoln Town car and you drop it. You put spinners and shit on the radio. Any car, you shouldn't be getting fucked with. It's 100% legal to do that to your car. But certain cars attract the police. You already know that. If you make your car look hood in any way, fashion, or forms, rims, all that, it's gonna. You got racist cops out there. Call it what it is. There are racist cops out there. They're going to do that. All my cars scream dope boy. Yeah, those are really going to get you. You take any of the big body box cars from the 80s and 90s, you put candy paint on the car. Yeah, all of that shit's going to get you fucked with by police, even though most of that stuff is 100% legal. All of this stuff. And if you get pulled over, you got an attitude, then this is when you start escalating the shit that might have you on the front of a t-shirt. Even though you may not be committing any laws, any criminal acts at all. Some cops don't like to be challenged. They should be making bigger effort to get them motherfuckers off the force, but they don't. They would rather tell you should have complied and nothing would happen to you, as opposed to holding that officer accountable for escalating situations that should not have been escalated. But that's the world we live in. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate the 65,000 on the like side. As always, you know what we run here. It's a free speech, uncensored program. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body, despite some of the political views. We are MAGA friendly. We've always been MAGA friendly. If you enjoy this type of dialogue, open to all folks. I'm going to ask that you follow the program if you're watching on TikTok or Instagram, a subscription on YouTube, if you will, and we'll see you tomorrow at the same scheduled hours. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. You guys take care and have a wonderful evening.